Good morning. Police are giving in to Islamists. That's according to the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, as he warns the fight against Islamism is the fight of our generation.
Well, this comes as the government is also reportedly preparing a new official definition of Islamophobia, which free speech campaigners have said would prevent the legitimate criticism of Islam.
More protests erupt in Iran as the supreme leader accuses crowds of trying to please Trump. We'll be talking to someone who fled the country in 2020.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has said that the United States is going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. Speaking overnight, the US president warned that he feels obliged to act, or else Russia or China will.
GB News is live in Hungary this morning, witnessing security measures in place to prevent illegal migration. Are there things that our politicians could learn?
Dubbed the biggest storm in a decade, have you felt the wrath of Storm Geretti yet? It's moving on, but are conditions like this that we're seeing now, snow, blizzards, cold, is that becoming more frequent? And has the country got itself up and running again?
Now today, believe it or not, marks 10 years since David Bowie died. We're paying tribute to him throughout the show, and we're going to be talking to his best mate.
And have you ever fancied a real challenge? Well, this man has set the bar pretty high because he's become the first double above-the-knee amputee to climb the highest peaks on all 7 continents.
A very good morning. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is due for talks with the Manchester United board today over his return to Old Trafford on an interim basis. It's FA Cup weekend and Chelsea begin life under new manager Liam Rossini at Charlton tonight. And in darts, Luke Littler signs a new sponsorship deal worth up to £20 million.
We start the weekend with yet more cold weather, snow and ice still in places. A big change is on the way tonight and into tomorrow. Rain arrives from the Atlantic, but for some, that simply means more snow. Much more coming up in the forecast very soon.
Just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast. I was wondering if we'd both make it in today, but the weather is, I mean, it's bad in some areas and not in others.
It's not been as bad, I don't think,
as we were warned.
As we were warned for most of us.
But for some, it is bad. Have you seen the how well Luke Littler has done?
I think this is an amazing story.
It is. We'll be covering it at length.
Yeah.
Later on.
Go on. What's it all about?
So it's a deal with his darts supplier. So they are a company called, I suppose you can mention them, Target. Now you wouldn't think they're a big company, but they obviously think that Luke Littler is worth investing in over a multi-year period.
So how much have they offered him?
£20 million.
£20 million?
Extraordinary. I mean, that dwarfs, that's like 10 times what he's earned in the year, and we're always talking about how much he's earned in the year. And
I wonder over what period?
I think it's over about 4 or 5 years, something like that. But I mean, it's up to with add-ons and bonuses, that kind of stuff. It's incentivised.
Has that sort of sponsorship deal ever hit darts before?
No, nothing like it. The prize money only went up for winning the World Championship from 500 grand to £1 million this year. 20 years ago when I covered it, it was 100 grand, and they were grateful.
Yeah, I mean, 20 million, it's a heck of a pot.
It is. And so what you'll see is that other players who go up against him regularly and probably lose against him will become successful as a result of it, and it'll be the same effect that Tiger Woods had in golf.
Yeah.
The multiplier effect, I think they call it.
Yeah.
I hope he's got good, it's like the young footballers who just suddenly have an avalanche of money. I hope he gets
He's got his mum
really
and dad.
good.
Yes.
And I think they seem to be very sensible
very stalwart
people.
family, which will help.
Because it could ruin him, but I'm sure if they look after it properly, it will just make him. He'll be all right.
Well, my concern for darts is if he gets so rich, is he going to carry on doing it? Because they need him.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
have to a certain extent.
Well, I suppose we'll have to for those period of time. It's to do with his dart flights and his actual equipment.
Yeah, good on him. Yeah. I say good.
Does he already? He presumably already uses those darts.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I think there aren't many suppliers around.
No. Well, Target's a good name.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
For a dart.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, there you go.
Well, good on him.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, very nice. Remember who your mates are. Now, our main news this morning, the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, has said Britain faces the fight of our generation against extremists.
Yeah, he's warning that police are actually giving in to Islamists because it's too challenging to confront them.
Let's talk to former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster, who's here in the studio. Morning to you. Nice to see you. Do you agree with this sentiment?
Yeah, I do, actually. I think Rob's written quite a challenging piece today that a lot of people should consider and read, and not just, and I'd say particularly to colleagues in the government, you know, don't just say, oh, well, it's the Conservative Party. You know, Rob's making some very profound points. We saw that Select Committee appearance earlier this week. The West Midlands Police Chief Constable, you know, charged with enforcing the law in the West Midlands. And there he is, dissembling, going all over the place. And what was really struck was the fact that there we were, blaming football fans. Well, that sounds familiar, particularly if you look back at incidents like Hillsborough, the police trying to blame football fans, when actually the evidence was about potential extremists locally attacking them. So you've got this whole culture that seems to view sort of diversity as giving in to viewpoints that are actually, in many cases, virtually medieval. You know, the idea that women should be beaten by their husbands, the idea that, you know, you don't have free speech, you cannot question someone's religious faith. I'm a Christian, I accept that. People can criticise my faith, can completely disagree with it. That's part of being in a democracy with freedom of religious expression. So there's some really big issues there. There's a really big debate to have. And let's remember, it's only just, 2024, in that summer, a Home Office minister represents part of Birmingham, and she actually went out and justified the idea that people had gathered in mass gangs around a roundabout to apparently defend their community from the far right. It's a cancer that absolutely needs addressing, and Rob's right to say what he has today.
Who's to blame, or is it just a collective situation? I mean, is it the politicians who just haven't been brave enough to have the debate? Is it the heads of the police forces who seem to almost want to avoid confrontation rather than manage it?
I think it's collective. Look, it'd be very easy to sit here and score some political points and try and blame people relying on votes. Clearly, relying on block votes in certain parts of this country has contributed towards this issue, in particular in certain local council areas. But it goes beyond just a party political issue. You know, particularly when we see some of the performances we've seen police. We've seen what we've seen in London, see some of the demonstrations following the massacre on October the 7th. I must say it's interesting to note those great defenders of human rights in the Middle East haven't been out over the last week protesting in support of those in Iran, wanting basic freedom and basic, you know, democratic rights that we take for granted here, and facing security forces literally looking to gun them down. So, you know, there is a real, and it's a whole culture that's just allowed this idea that we don't challenge this, but it is a growing cancer in our country.
But it's about balance, isn't it? And there needs to be balance, there needs to be respect for people of all religions and none, and all that sort of business. But it has gone the other way. And, I mean, ultimately, when you look at issues like the grooming gangs, that's where it's... That's like a far edge of it, isn't it? Where it's just been, because of this political correctness, nothing has been challenged.
Absolutely. You know, when you look at those councils, you know, supposed to be, and police forces were involved, who were supposed to be protecting some of the most vulnerable citizens, and instead were worried about how they'd be perceived if they did so. And you're right, Stephen, this isn't about targeting a religion. It's about targeting a strain of belief that's particularly represented by the Islamic Republic of Iran and propagated by it worldwide, is that it's about the idea that one faith should be supreme, that actually quite extreme elements of it should be what everyone does, and that you cannot question this, and that even to debate or discuss is wrong. You know, I've been involved in interfaith discussions. I've spoken at a mosque, I've spoken at Gurdwara. I've talked about my faith whilst doing so, my Christian faith. That is how we show respect, not by tolerating attitudes which really don't have a place in a democracy, and view threats and violence and actual racism as an appropriate form of behaviour based on your own beliefs. And, you know, there has been reticence in tackling this. I'm not going to say that started on the 5th of July 2024. Clearly, there are some issues under...
it's been growing for a long time. I mean, you use that term, political correctness. I remember years and years ago people starting to talk about political correctness, and now we call it wokery, or I mean they'll invent another word, but it's the same thing. It's we've turned a blind eye to the realities, and we've been scared to debate some of the realities, uncomfortable though they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people are scared to debate. You know, it's interesting to see, for example, the debate going on trail hunting at the moment, and then see certain Labour MPs' reaction when Rupert Lowe suggests a ban on non-stun slaughter. You know, it's interesting to see how the desire for animal rights soon turns around quite quickly on that one. So, yeah, there has been a reticence to debate it. We've also seen a culture of trying to cancel, to trying to shut people down. We saw ridiculous uses of things like non-crime hate incidents when people try and talk about issues that are actually quite big challenges for society. And ultimately, if we don't address it, as Rob points out, you know, who is going to control our streets? Who is going to be dictating where this country goes forward? And that's why he's right to write what he did today. You know, I hope people can see it as a debate and pick up on it, rather than just view it as a piece penned by a Conservative Party spokesperson.
OK. Kevin, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
It is astonishing, isn't it? Do let us know what you're thinking when we hear even that there's debate amongst some other countries that are reluctant to send their youngsters here to be educated because they are fearful that they'll be radicalised in Britain. And that is something we should be deeply ashamed of.
Now, at 11 minutes past 6, Storm Geretti. We know it's battered many parts of the country, and you will be asking the same question this morning. If you're heading out, can you get where you're going?
Yeah, lots of people already getting in touch saying, hang on, it's winter, it snows. But it was a particularly bad storm, or it's still going to be. It was perishing cold, wasn't it?
Very cold.
I mean, really cold. I woke up one morning in my village, it said 1 degree all day, but feels like -11.
Yeah.
You think, oh, crumbs. Anyway, -11. After it was dubbed the worst storm in a decade, the travel disruption, of course, not a surprise.
No, but should we get up to speed on what is actually happening now? Now that things are supposedly calming down a bit, though it is still very icy today, so you've got to be careful. Simon Calder, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. So what can we expect today?
OK, well, let's start with the Met Office weather warnings for ice and snow. And unbelievably, they cover the whole country this weekend, with a few places that aren't. And it's really odd. So Cornwall, which got completely hammered by Storm Geretti, is OK. Kent, East Anglia, Lancashire and Cumbria, the Western Isles and the Northern Isles. If you haven't heard your region read out, then you are going to be having snow and ice, and that's obviously going to make driving treacherous, particularly at high altitudes. Still a lot of snow around in particularly rural areas, and so you need to be very careful with that. The trains, though, are kind of getting back to normal. It was extraordinary yesterday. Birmingham, the heart of the country, heart of the cross-country network. I think the first train actually ran from Edinburgh. Normally they go through the West Midlands and then down to London. It didn't get in till early afternoon. Because there was simply so much snow. That's now cleared. Where we've got problems are branch lines in Cornwall. The Night Riviera overnight train from London Paddington is on its way to Penzance, so that's a win. And then Wales is really where you're going to see problems, because there's two absolutely beautiful railway lines, one from Shrewsbury down to Swansea, the Heart of Wales line, and then the Mid Wales line, which goes from basically Birmingham through Shrewsbury again to Aberystwyth and Pwllheli. That's closed all day. And elsewhere, actually, the main problem is engineering works. Anybody trying to get to Gatwick today, the main line from London is closed, and it's going to be closed this weekend and the next 2 weekends. So you've got to allow lots of extra time for that, I'm afraid.
What about the roads? Because I have to, one thing I've noticed, because I'm on the roads all the time, there's been a lot of gritters out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been quite encouraging.
Yes, absolutely. And also to be, they are doing great work, the men and women who are working through the night to keep us safe. The snow has been really, really tough, and the ice has been tough in particular places, but things are now generally warming up, except, of course, in your village, where I hope things are a bit better and it's not feeling like minus 11 anymore.
No, it said feeling like -8, it said this morning.
Oh, that's better.
really?
Oh, much better.
Okay, right. So yeah, but just as always, if there is ice around, you just have to be ultra careful and consider, do I really need to drive? Are there other ways I can get to my destination, or should I just stay at home and watch GB News?
Well, that's by far the best idea. But if you have to travel, even if you're going on, and I know it sounds nanny statish to say take things with you in case, but even if you're on a train, you could possibly find yourself having to wait somewhere in the middle of nowhere for a long time. So you need lots and lots of layers, lots of clothes and snacks and food and things like that.
So. Yes.
It sounds crazy, but you do.
No, you do. And also, if you're at an airport. So we saw horrible scenes Thursday night going into Friday morning, particularly at Birmingham Airport. The snow absolutely came down. It didn't stop. You had loads of diversions to Heathrow, Stansted, Luton, Manchester, East Midlands, Liverpool. They carried on right until yesterday morning. And so people were very much in the wrong place. Meanwhile, you've got thousands of people trying to get out of Birmingham Airport. They sat around all Thursday evening, and then that was cancelled. Hopefully they got hotel rooms rather than sleeping on the floor of the airport. Things getting back to normal now, except that Amsterdam Airport, where we've had problems for the last week, we thought that had got better. But instead, they're very much under pressure again, as David Bowie might have sung. And if you want to get from Ibiza to the Norfolk Broads, you're going to have some problems today because they've cancelled another 16 flights to and from UK airports from Amsterdam. And so many people in Edinburgh, in Teesside, in Norwich, in Newcastle use Amsterdam as a really good hub. Well, it hasn't been for the past week, and lots of those flights are going to be cancelled today, I'm afraid.
It's lovely to see you in the studio today. I suspect it's because you just didn't fancy travelling anywhere. But, I mean, over the years that you've been reporting on this sort of thing, you must have encountered some of these days where you've been stranded, you haven't been able to get to where you wanted to, you've been stuck in a cold airport lounge waiting for some sort of news, have you?
Oh, very much so. I mean, we all have, particularly, actually, if you're... And it's really odd because, so, for example, we've had lots of people last weekend stranded in Barbados. Now, you might think, no, you're not stranded, you're having a lovely time, and the airline is paying for you to have an extra day there. But it is really, really stressful if you don't know when you're going to get there, particularly if you've got family issues, medical appointments, kids to look after, elderly relatives, whatever it might be. People, pets, of course. People need to get where they need to be, and it is incredibly stressful. And I've heard lots of sad stories just over the past 24 hours of people not being able to get where they need to be.
Well, I'm glad you managed to get in here this morning, Sam.
Yeah.
Good to see you, as always.
Well, if you've got a weather story to tell us, and I know, as I said, lots of people are already getting in touch saying, it's weather, get over it. But if you've been stranded at an airport or worried about, or ended up in the wrong place, do tell us your story. Get in touch, won't you?
In the meantime, let's see what is going to happen today with Aidan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's certainly another cold start to the weekend. More snow and ice to watch out for, certainly some slippery surfaces about, but a lot of dry and bright weather before further rain and snow arrive tonight. Across much of the UK, however, despite the cold, it's a fine start. Plenty of sunny spells through central areas, some cloud in the east, likewise cloud in the west, giving a few rain and sleet showers around coastal parts. But for the vast majority, it's a dry Saturday, albeit a cold Saturday, 2 to 6 Celsius. Make the most of today's weather because it's all downhill after this. Low pressure starts to move in from the Atlantic as we end the day, but ahead of that, some clear spells allowing temperatures to fall away. Low single figures or a few degrees below freezing quite quickly as we go into the evening, those temperatures dropping because of the snow cover across northern parts of the UK and still some central areas. We're going to see that snow and the slush and the slippery surfaces once again, leading to an ice risk but we are watching this system as it moves in tonight. It's bringing a spell of rain in from the Atlantic. The winds pick up, but as that Atlantic weather bumps into the cold air already in place across the UK, we are once again going to see a spell of snow. Initially across parts of central and western Scotland inland, but elsewhere it's mostly rain. We start off with the chilly weather across eastern parts of the UK, milder Northern Ireland, Western England and Wales, in between this area of snow, affecting much of Scotland, Northern England. I think for higher parts of Northern England, disruptive snow likely, lower levels, more patchy snow. But across Scotland, that's where the deeper snow is going to occur, 10 to 20 centimetres at lower levels, 30 over hills, before it all turns back to rain by the end of the day.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Do stay with us, because still to come we'll get the latest on the Iranian protests as chaos apparently descends on the country. What is going to happen next? We'll find out.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Aidan's got the sport for us. Actually, a little bit earlier than planned, but it's very good. Here at 6:23. Can we talk, first of all, about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Yeah, another calamitous week in the history of Manchester United. I mean, we said back in 2013 when Sir Alex Ferguson left, didn't we, that things would never be the same again. And yet again, they're looking for another manager. Now, this is peculiar because they have a temporary manager in place right now, Darren Fletcher. And now today, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who had the job previously, of course, for 3 years.
Where is he now?
Who's Solskjaer? He hasn't got a job. They don't bring in... Managers don't really bring in very often now managers who already have a job elsewhere because it means you've got to pay compensation. They've already paid £30 million to Ruben Amorim to get rid of him this week. The front of the Sun, the headline was great. It said, when your trophies are nil, but you've got 30 mil, that's Amorim.
You're not bad.
Not bad work, no, exactly. I've been told by my Portuguese contacts as well that he's going to deliver an interview next week on Portuguese television, lifting the lid on everything that went on at Manchester United. So that's a story for next week. But for now,
surely he'd be he'd have to sign a deal.
I think there are things he can say. He won't be able to say everything, but I don't know. Maybe he's already been paid his 30 million. They can't get it back off him.
Well,
maybe, but look, Solskjaer's going to have a talk today. So they're going to have this farcical situation where they're going to have a temporary manager to replace the temporary manager because Darren Fletcher's in there right now. Probably until they want someone in the role before next week's Manchester derby.
But what happened to Ruud van Nistelrooy?
Well, he went to Leicester after that, and then he didn't do very well. And this is it.
He was quite good at Man United when he
was there for 2 or 3 games. But how long can they keep going back to former players to solve the problem? I mean, Roy Keane was interesting this week. He said, look, why don't give it...
Well, they've got to figure out what the problem is first, haven't they?
Oh, there are structural problems at the club. I mean, there are going to be protests as well planned by supporters about Jim Ratcliffe. I mean, Ratcliffe's only been in there for about 18 months. He put £2 billion of his money into it. But this is the Glazers. You see, the Glazers are in America. This is exactly what they wanted. This is exactly why they sold those shares to Jim Ratcliffe. Not the whole club, not the whole commercial power of the club. They've still got that. But when something goes wrong, the focus is on Ratcliffe now, not the Glazers. He's the one taking all the heat.
Who do the fans want?
I think they've run out of ideas, Anne, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't even know who I think would be the best candidate for Manchester United. If you'd asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I could have given you a list, but they've pretty much had everyone now. They've gone for the big high-profile appointments like Jose Mourinho and Louis van Gaal. They've had the former heroes of the club, the legends of the club. They don't seem to have the answer either. Look, sooner or later, everything stems from what goes on the pitch. I mean, if they were playing well on the pitch, nobody would talk about the hole in the roof at the stadium that keeps letting water that we keep talking about, or their struggle to get a new stadium, planning permission or grants from the government or anything like that. They wouldn't even be talking about the share price or the fact that the people at the club are making economy savings on staplers and things. You know, none of that would be irrelevant if they were getting results. What I would say though is that look, they're only actually 3 points off the top 4 in the Champions League. So the timing of Ruben Amorim's departure seems strange to me because I'm thinking, well, would it be beyond the realms that he could have got them into Europe? Don't forget they finished 15th last year, so that would be a marked improvement. But look, they're in action tomorrow and in the FA Cup, and we'll see how things pan out. I think we might see an announcement either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Gosh, they don't waste much time, do they?
No, they don't.
What happened in the FA Cup yesterday?
Wrexham Nottingham Forest to penalties. And the Hollywood dream continues for Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. He was pictured last night, funnily enough, Reynolds actually on the pitch. He picked up some grass and put it in his pocket. I don't know if it was superstitious or what. But I think I'll meet him next week because they're due to be at QPR, or the week after, I think it is. I'm looking forward to that. But, yeah, they won through to the next round. And, I mean, it was a real twist and turn of a game. They said it was like a Hollywood blockbuster and it's contained in one match. But they got through. And Chelsea are playing tonight with their new manager, Liam Rossinier. And we can hear from him now. I think this is Liam Rossinier, who was appointed this week. And he can't wait for the challenge.
I think the biggest challenge in any club, in any team, is making sure you create the right culture, you create the right spirit, you have the right values. The reality at this football club, the talent levels that I've seen in the last 2 days of training, the ability of the players is world class. I've got a fantastic group to work with, which I'm very excited about. But winning teams are consistent when they have a good spirit, when they have a good energy, when they fight for each other, when they put pride in the shirt.
So there are certain times in certain jobs when you're made to feel old, and this is one of them because 40 years ago next week, I watched my first QPR game down the road here at Loftus Road. Liam Rossinier's father...
Cool, you can't possibly be that old.
No, I'm not. I'm making up. But Liam Rossinier's father was in the QPR, was on the bench for QPR that day, and now his son is the manager of Chelsea. I find that extraordinary.
Yeah. Talking of young people...
Yep.
Can we talk about Luke Littler, please?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, it's a 10-year deal, this deal, so I didn't know at the top of the...
£2
million a year.
Oh, it's extraordinary.
But But it's good. It keeps him in the
Yeah,
sport
it does, because he's going to have to fulfil that to get the full money out of it. I mean, who knows? He might decide after 10 million that he's got enough money as it is. But he said, look, they've supported me since day one. It is a company that have been with him over the long term, and I guess they must be selling equipment off the charts, mustn't they? As a result of what Luke Littler has.
That's more than a lot of sponsors pay your big tennis players, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's getting up towards that level now. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, look, there's big money still in tennis. Don't get me wrong. There was a row this week over the prize money for the Australian Open. They've increased it, but the players are still not happy. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
The Australian Open starts just a few weeks from now. But in terms of Luke Littler, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised at the numbers, I have to say. But then if you look at the growth of darts in recent times, I mean, you would have thought the prize money is going to have to go up again, just to keep pace with the sponsorship deals that they're getting. Because, you know, I mean, we heard from the Matchroom documentary on Netflix that it's their biggest earner in their entire sports
portfolio. The problem with that is, though, if you start putting the prize money up more and more and more and more, it starts pricing the tickets up.
I don't know if it's all about tickets, because sooner or later, the TV companies are going to have to pay for the rights to show it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, lots of Christmas films were disrupted this year because people were turning over because they wanted to see this young lad playing darts. And somebody was saying that on the radio this morning when I was on the way in. They said he'd never known anything like it. He was trying to watch The Snowman, and his daughter and his kids wanted to turn over and watch Luke Littler's progress.
That's stardom. He's a star.
And if you think about it, when you look at it's prime time hours when darts is shown, 'cause it's right around Christmas when everyone's around the TV. So you're experiencing that bump. And there we go, that's how things are playing out.
Yeah.
But great, it's great.
And apparently sales of dart boards are going through the roof.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's not just...
That's what's so... It's so accessible, isn't it, darts?
Oh, yes.
If
you do it in your garage.
Exactly.
It's not that expensive to buy a dart board either.
No,
it's good.
And everybody thinks they fancy it.
Yeah, I'm rubbish.
See how
I had a
difficult
lesson
it
from
is.
Phil Taylor once. I quit after about 20 seconds. I was useless.
Yeah, well, no comment. Hey, look, now, we mentioned on the show yesterday, because it's in the papers, actually, about David Bowie, and those incredible pictures of him as a young man, which I thought were just absolutely fascinating.
Front page of the Saturday Review in the Times today.
10 years since he died today.
Yeah. Bigger than ever, apparently.
Yeah.
They're saying 10 years on, he's reaching more, his music and his image is reaching more people than it even did during his life.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, look, an icon, no doubt, a man whose music and style and influence will never die, actually. But Sophia Hill has been looking back on his career.
That was, of course, Starman, the song that announced David Bowie as a pop star from another world. Today marks 10 years since Bowie died of liver cancer, just 2 days after releasing his final album, Black Star. Born David Robert Jones in Brixton in 1947, Bowie reinvented music and identity through characters like Ziggy Stardust and Aladdin Sane. And this year, fans will be able to step inside his childhood home in South London, which is opening to the public for the very first time. Sophia Hill, GB News.
I did see him live once.
Did you?
At the Freddie Mercury tribute.
Oh.
And he was incredible.
Yeah.
He was incredible. And he did some stuff on his own. He did songs with Annie Lennox. And it was incredible just to hear that voice. I don't think it's the thing with the great artists, is it that they have distinctive voices. I mean, he did, Freddie did, even people like Bono. You know, Bono's got a bit of a voice like a cheese grater, but it's distinctive.
Yes, it is, yeah.
I mean, it's Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart, yeah.
You know, they all have something which is, you know, you're not your stereotypical sort of perfect voice, but it just works.
And he reinvented himself, and a lot of people like one edition of Bowie and don't like another and all that. I mean, you see, hearing Starman there, it's the recent science fiction films they're all using Bowie tracks to back them up now. He never made an impression on me at all in life.
Did you interview him?
No.
No.
Never made an impression on me at all in life. But since then, since people were reminiscing about him, I've discovered certainly that era of his music, which I love.
Well, that house is just, the Sophia mentions, is just around the corner from me. And Bowie thing is a big thing locally in Bromley. My parents bought a house in St Matthew's Drive in Bickley about 2001, I think it was, just as a doer-upper. And it was in the same road where he filmed a video called Budha of Suburbia, which I think must have been around about 93, 94, and a lot of the local landmarks in that video are within a short walk of my house.
Yeah, I mean, just huge influence.
in that. I don't know. Well, no, the trust has bought it. So,
well, the one that he was born in. Yeah.
Oh, do you mean the one that weren't my parents?
Yeah.
Had? Oh, don't know. They sold it to somebody. They made a few quid, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
No, but well, look, later on in the show, we are talking to one of David Bowie's lifelong friends, and you'll remember that one of the things about Bowie, people always said he had one eye colour different from the other. He didn't actually. It's just that his pupil was permanently enlarged in his left eye. Because, and the man who became his good friend who we're talking to hit him in the face when they were at school. They had a fight, and it damaged his eye so badly that his pupil was permanently dilated.
Gave him that quirky look.
But they remained friends, and I think he actually did the artwork on a few of his albums and all that sort of thing.
If you've got a Bowie story, did you ever meet him? Or was there a particularly fab concert that you went to that you remember? Do get in touch, let us know. No, I don't think. I was going to say, I don't think I interviewed him. I don't think I did. I'll check with Nick.
You do forget.
Yeah,
forget
which is wicked, isn't it? But I'll check with Nick. He'll know.
Right, time for the Great British Giveaway now. Your time is ticking if you want to be our biggest ever cash prize winner. It's £85,000. Here are the details.
There's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make 2026 the year of yes. That's yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to making all of those dreams come true this year. What would you spend all of that cash on? 2026 could be the year you spend more time spending with an incredible £85,000 in your bank. Just make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
My goodness, couldn't that be fantastic for the new year? Time to reflect. Here's our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Marjorie and I'm a Baptist minister in Sheffield. We are now in the season of Epiphany, and tucked quietly inside the Christmas story is something many of us overlook. It is this: God spoke through dreams. Early on in the Christmas narrative, we read that when they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. In Matthew's Gospel, chapter 2. Joseph didn't get thunder or burning bushes, he got dreams. A dream told him not to be afraid and to take Mary as his wife. A dream warned him to flee to Egypt, and a dream called him back home. And the wise men too were warned in a dream not to return to Herod. God used the nighttime whispers, man's subconscious, to guide the birth and protection of the Saviour of the world. Most of us want God to speak to us loudly and clearly, with neon signs in the sky or a loud, audible voice. But the Christmas story reminds us that God often speaks in the quiet, in the places where He has our full attention. Interestingly, that requires something of us, maybe. We need to take time to be quiet, to dial down and to listen and to seek God. Sometimes He nudges our hearts with a longing or a burden. At other times, He plants a dream, an idea, a calling, a sense of direction that won't leave us alone. And sometimes, yes, sometimes He actually speaks in dreams, in the still hours where our defenses are down and our hearts are soft. But here's the key thing. Joseph didn't just dream, he then obeyed. He acted on what he dreamt. Because dreams from God aren't always just to comfort us. Sometimes they move us in a good direction, a nudge to turn to God, or maybe to put wrong things right. Whatever it is, there's an invitation to listen to God and to respond. Christmas teaches us that God is not silent. His guidance may come gently, but it is sure and certain.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
More than 10 people have had to be rescued after a huge sinkhole opened in a canal in Shropshire, leaving several narrowboats stranded.
Yes, 3 boats have been affected by the incident, with at least 2 swallowed by the sinkhole, which is approximately 50 by 50 metres in size.
Extraordinary. Well, joining us with the story is Paul Smith-Story, who's on a canal boat 3 boats away from this sinkhole. Paul, this sort of thing doesn't really happen very often, does it?
It doesn't. There was a huge breach on the Bridgewater Canal last year, but this is the first time we've actually seen boats at the bottom of the breach. It was quite scary to witness, to be honest.
So how close are you? What can you see from where you are?
Yeah, well, we're about 90 metres away from where the sinkhole started. We got woke up at 4:20 this morning. There was crashing on the boat because the boat was listing. We got off and a friend of ours told us that there was this sinkhole that had appeared and that there was a boat about to drop into it. And that was, when we got there, the boat was already in the bottom of this sinkhole. The rush of water was incredible. It just sounded like a huge waterfall. Luckily, those boaters got out, and we actually know the chap whose first boat went in. We're just so thankful that he got out in time with his dog.
Gosh, Paul, just explain what we're seeing on our screens right now. So the narrow boat there has come out of the water that we see on the left, and it's sort of, has it rolled over and down into the sinkhole? What's going on?
That's the actual line where the red clay is the line of the canal. Just where those 3 trees are to the left is a field that's flooded, and I think that's where the water's escaped from the canal, and it's just flooded the field to the left of that image. It was really scary.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
.42. Suzanne Evans and the comedian Steve N. Allen are taking us through the papers this morning. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Steve.
What are you doing here on your birthday?
Well, just try and turn up for cakes and card, but I noticed
no cakes and card. No, we only found out when we got in, unfortunately.
Yeah. But don't worry,
Otherwise,
as soon as M&S opens over the road, we'll find a way.
We'll get something.
We'll find
out
in the break.
All right, Suzanne, let's start with the Telegraph. Should we looking at Robert Jenrick?
Yes, Robert Jenrick, lost the Conservative leadership election, but my goodness, he's been out there fighting, it seems to me, every day since, taking on all manner of campaigns. And this is an amazing article he's written, actually, in the Telegraph this morning, talking about how Britain risks conceding control of the streets to Islamists and the police are giving in to them. He says that combating this is the fight of our generation. And I think in many ways he'll be saying a lot of things that GB News listeners and watchers are thinking. So what he's saying is giving several examples of why he feels the police have given in to Islamists. Obviously, this week we've had huge amounts of controversy over the fact that West Midlands police blame blamed Jewish football fans for being the reason for cancelling a match in Birmingham, and then it turned out that actually the real reason was that they feared uprisings by armed Islamist groups if the Jewish fans were allowed to come to Birmingham. He talks about the lack of action the police have taken with regard to the so-called hate marches that have been taking place in London every Saturday. He's talked about the 2024 summer disturbances when the police basically let the community police itself. He's talked about the Batley school teacher who's still in hiding after showing pictures of Mohammed to his school children. Do you remember there was an incident where a 14-year-old autistic boy in Yorkshire was basically forced to apologise because he'd accidentally scuffed a copy of the Quran? All these issues, and there are plenty other more in the Daily Telegraph as well. So he also raises the fact that Keir Starmer's talking about banning trail hunting, but as soon as you mention the possibility of banning halal slaughter, well, that's not going to be happening. So he's constantly highlighting this article, hypocrisies, ways in which Islam, he claims, has got the upper hand in Britain. And as he says, he thinks this is the fight of our generation. And as I said, something that I think a lot of people will have a lot of sympathy with.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, I think he's right. I think in some senses, some of it is understandable, still wrong, but understandable. When you hear the stories of, like, on the marches, how the police chose to move Jewish people out of the way of the march, numbers-wise, it's the only thing they have the chance to do, just because of, I suppose, how underfunded and how understaffed the police are. Unless you get the police from everywhere in the entire nation to come and police one march, they won't be able to move that march in the directions they want. So I can see why they're doing it. They're trying to avoid escalation, but they're making the wrong decision. You can't have a situation where you're moving Jewish people out of the way of a march or saying you can't watch football because we're scared of what the impacts will be. I'm not sure how we fix it. I mean, getting the police back with greater numbers and doing the right thing instead of Googling for information to back up their causes would be a step in the right direction.
Yes, that's the point. What is Jenrick calling for?
Well, he's basically saying that, you know, we've just got to fight it. He doesn't talk about things like that I might argue for, like scrapping the Equality Act, which, of course, gives priority in many sense to people with so-called protected characteristics of race, religion, and so on and so forth. And I think that's a cause of a lot of the problems, is that the police have perhaps arguably taken the view that people who have these protected characteristics have not... We've got to take a much more softly approach because we might be in breach of equality legislation. But, you know, Jenrick ends his article just saying who governs Britain, basically. Is it the British people or is it the Islamists? And if we don't want it to be the latter, we've all got to stand up and fight against it. And I suppose it's also, he would argue, up to journalists and politicians such as himself to keep exposing things like the issue we've had this week about the football and the Jews being basically excluded because of fears about Islamist gangs, and then putting the blame on. I think earlier in the morning, you know, Kevin Foster, the former immigration minister, was talking about how the police blamed the football fans at Hillsborough, and then that turned out to be wrong. And it seems to be a carbon copy of that almost.
Yeah. All right, you two, we're going to leave it there just for a moment. Back in a second. First, though, here's the European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Strong winds are expected across eastern parts of the Mediterranean at the moment. Meanwhile, heavy rain will affect parts of Turkey into Cyprus as well. This system is gradually moving away, so it's going to dry up across Greece and the Greek islands early next week. A few showers eastern parts of Italy, otherwise plenty of fine weather, and Spain's looking reasonable. Sunny spells, average temperatures. Likewise for the Canaries, plenty of fine weather to come during the days ahead.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Bowl. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
We're going through the papers with Suzanne Evans and Steve N. Allen. Steve, in the Mail, apparently super strength cannabis, which we've all been very concerned about for a long time, is available on prescription.
Yep, but you do have to pass the stringent test of saying you've got anxiety. You know, really definitely easy to diagnose whether you have or not. There's a litmus test for it, or probably just some sort of measurement. Now, this is the problem, and it's not just people turning up saying they've got anxiety being prescribed a drug that we don't know if it helps anxiety, but we do know has other psychiatric side effects.
Is it actual cannabis they're giving out, or the stuff without the cannabinoids in it?
The THC part.
Yeah.
And so anything above, it's something like 22%, makes it high potency. Previously, we weren't handing out stuff like that, but now this is what you can get prescribed. Also, I think worryingly, people who are just using it the old-fashioned way are being told to go and get checked out and possibly have your usage legitimised. Well, that feels like you're putting the cart before the horse, isn't it? These are people who are using drugs who are being told to go and find a reason, rather than someone turns up with a reason and you prescribe the drugs. But I don't know, given a choice between anxiety and the potential side effects, I've not had anxiety, maybe I'm being harsh, but it feels like that's lower on the hierarchy scale of mental problems.
Yeah, and I also think, who's to say that some of these psychotropic drugs are not causing anxiety and depression? You know, we certainly know that alcohol can cause anxiety and depression, and I'm pretty sure this can as well. And what's particularly worrying, I think the Mail's exposed the fact that private clinics are handing this out after a video consultation. They're not even meeting their patients. They're handing it out after just one video consultation and boasting that they can deliver the drugs directly to the patient's door the next day.
But if it is medical cannabis, as they call it, it's not like you're getting a little stash to do your rollies and smoke.
It's not, but it's not like the CBC products that you get on the shelves at you know, health food stores either. This stuff has got the THC in it, the psychotropic element, and as Stephen says, it's in quite high concentration. I'm not convinced by this. I think it's slightly worrying.
I just don't know. This is the problem. I just don't know. I've seen a lot of these people who say they've got so many. It can have incredible medical benefits, can't it? I mean, we know about that, but it's the psychotropic stuff in it.
It can, or not. I know someone
Before we run out of time, can we talk David Bowie?
Yeah.
And it is remarkable that it is now, the 10th anniversary of his death.
Yeah.
Did ever go to a Bowie concert?
I didn't. No, I'm afraid not. Did you?
No, never
No, but
did.
I have.
Do you have, Stephen?
You're far too young,
Yes,
aren't
before
you?
my time, what he says, pretending to... I
Yeah.
can't pretend to be young today, can I?
No, you can't.
Yeah, notched up another one.
You can't. You're only 2 to 3 years younger than me.
Yeah, a lot of us, and that's the huge piece about him in the Times, basically saying he's more popular now than he was, and he was mega. He's one of the stars whose influence has gone on and actually grown.
It has indeed, and as you say, it's the 10th anniversary of his death today. He died from liver cancer in New York on the 10th of January 2016. And the people in this article, they're quoting, for instance, Noel Gallagher saying that he was one of the three greats. There was Bowie, there was Sinatra, and there was Elvis Presley.
Wow.
And interesting what you said, Anne, about how he's now more popular than ever. I wasn't a huge fan when he was alive.
No,
I
me
really
either, but I
appreciate
am
his
now.
music more now.
Oh, there you go. We're out of time, you two. We'll see you a little bit later. Here's the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's certainly another cold start to the weekend. More snow and ice to watch out for, certainly some slippery surfaces about, but a lot of dry and bright weather before further rain and snow arrive tonight. Across much of the UK, however, despite the cold, it's a fine start. Plenty of sunny spells through central areas, some cloud in the east, likewise cloud in the west, giving a few rain and sleet showers around coastal parts. But for the vast majority, it's a dry Saturday, albeit a cold Saturday, 2 to 6 Celsius. Make the most of today's weather because it's all downhill after this. Low pressure starts to move in from the Atlantic as we end the day, but ahead of that, some clear spells allowing temperatures to fall away. Low single figures or a few degrees below freezing quite quickly as we go into the evening, those temperatures dropping because of the snow cover across northern parts of the UK and still some central areas. We're going to see that snow and the slush and the slippery surfaces once again, leading to an ice risk. But we are watching this system as it moves in tonight. So it's bringing a spell of rain in from the Atlantic. The winds pick up, but as that Atlantic weather bumps into the cold air already in place across the UK, we are once again going to see a spell of snow. Initially across parts of central and western Scotland inland, but elsewhere it's mostly rain. We start off with the chilly weather across eastern parts of the UK, milder Northern Ireland, Western England and Wales, in between this area of snow, affecting much of Scotland, Northern England. I think for higher parts of Northern England, disruptive snow likely, lower levels, more patchy snow. But across Scotland, that's where the deeper snow is going to occur. 10 to 20 centimetres at lower levels, 30 over hills, before it all turns back to rain by the end of the day.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make 2026 the year of yes. That's yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to making all of those dreams come true this year. Just make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
The University of Bristol has been threatened with legal action by a leading academic who led a recent government review into sex and gender data collection.
Well, Professor Alice Sullivan claims her freedom of speech was restricted after a talk she gave was disrupted by a trans rights protest.
Protesters actually scaled the walls of the building. We were in a first-floor lecture theatre, and they climbed the walls in order to bang on the windows and sort of howl through the windows. It felt incredibly surreal in there. It was like some kind of zombie apocalypse.
What was it, Alice, that these students objected to? So you have recently led this government review, and all you've said, as far as I can see, very rightly, is that police should be recording and the NHS should be recording people's biological sex rather than their gender identity. And you have a very good reason for saying that, which is that cancer referrals have been missed and crimes have been misrecorded because of this idea of gender identity. Is that really what these students object to, or have you said anything else that they might object to?
No, and it is extraordinary. I have literally argued that we should collect data on sex and we should also collect data on transgender identities as well. It's not a zero-sum game. We need accurate data on all groups in order to serve the needs and the human rights of all groups. It's all I've ever said. And I can only imagine that had these protesters actually come in and listened to my talk, they might have been surprised, because I really don't know what they thought I was saying. Obviously, from the perspective of someone outside the room banging on the window, they have no idea what I'm saying.
It's absolutely extraordinary. I mean, very good. This is why people need to come in and listen.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. Police are giving in to Islamists. At least that's according to the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, as he warns the fight against Islamism is the fight of our generation.
This comes as the government is also reportedly preparing a new official definition of Islamophobia, which free speech campaigners have said would prevent legitimate criticism of the religion.
More protests erupt in Iran as the supreme leader accuses crowds of trying to please Trump.
And meanwhile, Donald Trump has said that the US is going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. Speaking overnight, the US president warned that he feels obliged to act, or else Russia or China will take over, he said.
We're going to be live in Hungary this morning, witnessing security measures in place to prevent illegal migration. Are there things that our politicians could learn?
Dubbed the biggest storm in a decade, Storm Geretti moves on. But are conditions like this we're seeing now, snow, hail, in high winds and feels like minus something, is all of that becoming more frequent nowadays? But has the country got itself up and running again yet? We'll find out.
And it's 10 years today since we lost David Bowie. We're paying tribute to him throughout the morning.
And have you ever fancied a real challenge? This man that we're seeing now has set the bar pretty high because he's become the first double above-knee amputee to climb the highest peaks on all 7 continents.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is due for talks with the Manchester United board today over his return to Old Trafford on an interim basis. It's FA Cup weekend. Meanwhile, and Chelsea begin under new manager Liam Rossini at Charlton tonight. And in darts, Luke Littler signs a new sponsorship deal worth an eye-watering £20 million.
We start the weekend with yet more cold weather, snow and ice still in places. A big change is on the way tonight and into tomorrow. Rain arrives from the Atlantic, but for some, that simply means more snow. Much more coming up in the forecast very soon.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Ann Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
It is turning into a Bowie special today. We're talking to his mate a little bit later on, 10 years after he died at the crazy age of 69, which seems so young these days. Paul's been in touch. Morning, Paul. Says, grew up with Bowie as the soundtrack to my life, never far from the cassette player or the dance set machine.
Oh, the dance set. Didn't everybody have a dance set at one point or another?
Wow.
Yeah. I think the thing about Bowie, a bit like John Lennon and a few others you can think of, is he wasn't just a musician, he was an artist as well. And of course he had an incredible art collection to sell after he died. But I mean, so he was much, much more a rounded character. And that's when he invented the different characters in different eras of his career. They were, I mean, he was an artwork as well as a singer, wasn't he?
He was, and he always kept that going. Robert says, I saw him at Man City's old ground, Main Road, in '87. Alison Moyet and Terence Trent D'Arby were the support acts.
Wow.
Wow.
They were support acts to him.
They both had big singles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bowie was charismatic and brilliant live.
Yeah, Lisa says, I saw David Bowie. Is it Bowie or Bowie? I never really know.
Bowie.
Well,
Bowie.
That's always the argument, though, isn't it?
Because it was Zowie Bowie.
Zowie Bowie.
Who then changed his name, of course, understandably. But anyway, Lisa says, I saw him, Milton Keynes Bowl, Serious Moonlight Tour, July 1983. Unforgettable.
Yeah. And Karen says, the music, what can you say? Phenomenal, the style, ace, and easy on the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just had it all. He had it all. And the thing is, also, it was really interesting because he had liver cancer and he kept that really, really quiet until it was right towards the end.
Until it was obvious, almost, yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting thing as well. He's like, didn't want... Because he could have had so much sympathy, public outpouring and all that, and he didn't want it.
I remember the day he died, I was driving back from work and all the way from West London over to Bromley, and I passed through Beckenham, and already, I mean, the announcement was less than an hour old, and already there was floral tributes outside Zizzy's restaurant in Beckenham, which is where he did his first live performance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
There's a placard out there, I believe.
There are some names you just don't forget, and you do remember, as you say, you remember hearing the bad news, sadly. I'll never forget hearing about Lennon's death. But also Freddie Mercury's, it had the same sort of overwhelming support. Everybody turned out, people around his house laying flowers everywhere. It was heartbreaking, actually. Sometimes it is, because a musician like that sort of can sum up your childhood. Or certainly your teenage years, have an enormous influence on you.
Huge influence on you, and a huge influence on society, actually, and you know, and fashion and all the rest of it.
And other stars, other you know, the music movement and everything.
I'm very glad a decade on he's not forgotten.
Do get in touch if you've got a wonderful Bowie memory.
Now, our main news this morning is about the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, who said Britain faces the fight of our generation against extremists.
He's warning that police are giving in to Islamists because it's just too challenging to confront them.
Well, let's talk to former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster, who's here in the studio. Do you agree with what Robert's had to say?
I do. Robert's making some very strong points. You know, we saw the performance this week from particularly the Chief Constable of the West Midlands Police. You know, the man who's supposed to be enforcing the law in the West Midlands, particularly around Birmingham, in which it turns out that far from it being the football fans that they tried to blame being the problem, it was apparently local extremists who might attack them, which prompted them to ban Jewish football fans, fundamentally, from coming to a football match in Birmingham. There is a real debate there. And also we should ask ourselves as a country, how come the UAE, you know, the United Arab Emirates, to give it its full name, is now advising students from its own country that they shouldn't really study here because they might be indoctrinated with an extremist ideology. And many times they've challenged the fact that things like the Muslim Brotherhood are legal here, but are actually banned in many Islamic countries around the world. You know, this isn't about Islam, this isn't about the actual religion, this is about a strain of it, particularly propagated by the Islamic Republic of Iran, that is such a dangerous threat.
Well, how have you managed to get to this point, though, where people and you know, and councils and even the police now are just too afraid to say anything for fear of offending anyone?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Stephen. There's been this sort of culture that's developed, you know, and I'm not going to make party political points. It didn't just start on the 5th of July 2024. And it's not just about politicians, although you can look at the way some politicians relied on certain block votes in some of our bigger cities to get elected, which has probably coloured their judgment on some of this. But you can, there's been this idea that, we can't offend people. people. We have to tolerate attitudes. Sometimes tolerating attitudes and expression of views that denigrate women, that go back hundreds of years in terms of attitude, and which actually are sometimes outright racist, particularly against Jewish people. So, you know, there's been this sort of culture that somehow it was somehow woke, it was somehow diverse, it was good, it was strengthening us to allow people to preach things that are absolutely unbelievable. You know, if someone said it in a church, there'd be absolute outcry. Yet somehow it's sort of tolerated because it's somehow different.
Well, you hear that rhetoric, don't you, time and again. We've sort of flattered ourselves that we are a very tolerant, loving society. We embrace other cultures. Maybe we've done a bit too much embracing.
Absolutely, and I think you'd see there are people, and what's really strange, particularly if you look at things like the grooming gang scandal, sometimes those who would like to say are progressive, liberal, you know, defenders of rights, are the ones then to have turned a blind eye to absolutely appalling behaviour towards some of the most vulnerable people in our society, because that wouldn't fit with the narrative they have. A bit like, you know, we've seen very few of those people who are apparently great champions of human rights in the Middle East out on the streets supporting the demonstrators in Iran who are literally being gunned down by a dictatorship. So, you know, there's this sort of culture that's been allowed to develop, and Rob's absolutely right to challenge it down. I hope people will take seriously what he says.
But the issue is, and he makes a very good point just by doing this, is that you've got to be able to challenge these things, to call them out, whilst at the same time saying, we're not having a pop at all Muslims. It's not all about Muslims. It's not all, you know, it is about a radical fringe.
Absolutely. You know, you can look at some of the commentary that there's been this week following Reform announcing their candidate for Mayor of London. And, you know, some people who regularly point the stick at Nigel find that, you know, Nigel's there actually making clear that, you know, I'm prepared to support I'm supporting someone with this background and against absolute trolls online. So, no, there has been a sort of culture of trying to cancel people, shut down debate. I remember one year, I think Amber Rudd gave a speech and someone tried to get it listed as a non-crime hate incident. There's been this whole thing of just wanting to shut down this debate, shout cheap slogans, and actually the fact that, you know, let's be clear, you know, if this debate was being had 8-9 years ago without GB News, probably someone like Robert would be being absolutely slated by much of the mainstream media.
But that's going to happen. I mean, I was going to say, how do you reverse what's happened, or at least how do you pull back from it without sounding what you would actually be accused of, you know, a sort of right-wing fascist?
Well, yeah, you know, that's the thing. We'll get people who always like to chuck out slogans. I always find it interesting that people who accuse people of being a fascist, I always say, well, it's strange, because actually where there are real fascists around the world, there's no way you'd make that accusation, because, of course, of what would then happen to you? Someone like Iran, where they might dress differently, but, you know, it's safe to say their attitude to human rights is exactly the same as those in Europe who used to dress up in black. So, for me, it is about how do we have a sensible debate about this? How do we challenge this? And I do hope that people will engage, particularly also on the left-wing part of politics, because actually a lot of what they fought for, you know, more progressive rights, gender rights, LGBT rights, a lot of that's going to be lost if this strain of Islamist opinion is what is allowed to dominate and is somewhat, in many ways, sort of coached. But, you know, when you saw masked thugs take the streets in Birmingham back in August 24, and somehow that was excused by a Home Office minister as they were sort of protecting themselves against the far right, you know, absolutely ridiculous stuff. You know, the law needs to apply fairly.
I mean, is it simple enough to say we need to just be more British? You know, we are a country with our own identity and our own culture, and if you want to live here, it's not saying you can't be different, but you've still got to conform to our overall society and rules.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly reasonable to say we do need to be more of the country that stood up and, you know, held the flame of freedom alight when the rest of Europe entered darkness back in the 1940s. And, you know, it's not about saying you must believe what I believe, you know. For example, I'm a Christian. I accept the fact that people won't believe my faith or criticise it or have very different views in it. But that is the cause. You know, accept this is a country where people can practice freely, not just do what you do.
So what do you think is going to happen, or what's behind the government's view now? They're announcing, aren't they? They're going to review this term Islamophobia. I mean, what's happening there? Are we going to find ourselves entrapped yet again in not being able to even debate the situation or criticise because we will be accused of some new definition of Islamophobia?
Well, it's certainly a concern. I think the Free Speech Union is doing some fantastic work around challenging some of this idea. But, you know, it's not that long ago we had a Labour MP stand up, I think it was at Prime Minister's Question Time, and demand a blasphemy law about, you know, insulting prophets of Abrahamic faith, without actually realising the irony of what he said is that actually the Christian faith, denying Christ's divinity is blasphemy. Well, I don't think it should be a blasphemy law in the 21st century, but you've seen that behind the scenes. You know, saw the attempt to prosecute someone for insulting the pillars of Islam. That was absolutely wrong. Thankfully overturned, but it took a lot of legal support and actually fair support from Robert Jenrick for that to happen.
Yeah, because there's plenty of stuff that goes on which is critical of Christianity, for example. I mean, it's on TV shows, comedy, all the rest of it, and we're expected to, and indeed often do, laugh at it. We're not taking it. It's like if it's any other religion, it's taken much more seriously.
Yeah, it's about, you know, I accept the fact that I live in a democratic society and there's things that would be highly offensive to me as a Christian, but are perfectly reasonable free speech for someone to question what the tenets of the faith, and that's what you said. But yes, there is some reluctance we get elsewhere. But then again, we have seen good examples, things, if you remember Citizen Come, which actually the BBC produced, which actually poked fun at some of these issues that we're seeing now coming forward. But we've all got to be more prepared to discuss this, and I do hope that a lot of people won't just see this as, you know, a Conservative Party spokesperson, but look at the issues it's bringing up, because they are it's a real cancer in our society if we allow Islamism to grow. You know, this is the idea that, you know, one faith dominates. This isn't the idea that you share and respect each other, and those who describe themselves as progressive should be as keen to stop that happening as anyone on the right of politics.
Do you think Robert Jenrick is moving towards Reform UK?
I don't think so. I think Rob is setting out what he feels, what he campaigned for in his leadership campaign. You know, I was one of the people who campaigned for him and supported him. And yes, this is an issue that, to be fair, members of Reform UK are bringing up as well. So, you know, I hope it's a debate that isn't just the Conservative and the Reform Party having it. I think it's one that we do need to have more generally across society. But, you know, look, Rob's been probably one of the most high-profile people over the last couple of years, pushing for what he believes in. But, you know, we're both members of the Conservative Party. I didn't see him shifting.
OK. We shall see. Kevin, good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Anything can happen in politics at the moment, it feels, doesn't it? OK, it's moving towards 7:15. Storm Geretti, has it hit you? It sort of feels as though it's moving away, but it isn't the end of the story, I think.
No, not yet, because forecasters are warning of more snow, strong winds and very, very cold temperatures this week. And it raises questions, of course, about how unsettled the winter could become and whether storms like this are happening more often.
Feels like they're happening more often. But is it just because they're given names?
Maybe.
We're joined now by weather analyst Steph Golter. A very good morning to you, Steph. Oh, you look chilly. Where are you?
Oh, it's chilly everywhere outside, and yes, I'm in Winchester. It's 0, so it is literally freezing.
And what does it feel like? If it says it's 0 degrees, feels like what, minus?
Fortunately, it does just feel like 0. It's the wind that would make it feel far less. And fortunately here, I'm very sheltered.
Oh, well, that's good news. Look, what is happening with all of this at the moment? Is it that we're seeing more of these storms, or are we just more aware of them?
I think partially it is that we're more aware of them, which is great. It means that the naming is working because we're now seeing the storms, understanding that they're coming, and we are differentiating with them. However, as I'm sure you've been told many a time, with climate change, we are expecting more of these storms, so we can expect more in the future.
And what about this one? Has it done its worst with us, or are we going to see more of it in the coming week?
So Geretti, yes, it has finished with us. So Devon and Cornwall with those incredibly strong winds. One place actually reported 123-mile-an-hour gust. That's unconfirmed as yet, but it just goes to show how strong the winds were. And then, of course, as you can see from your beautiful pictures there, loads and loads of snow. That's now all cleared away towards the east. It's still a bit breezy down in the southeast. We're seeing a little bit of rain, but nothing more than that. That's off. Now we're going to see a big change. So up till now, since the new year, it's been incredibly cold. I mean, it was practically, you know, here, welcome to 2026, and the cold is in. But things are changing as we head through Sunday and Monday. They're going to become far milder. So on Monday, you might not be thinking it's Barbados, but still 10, 11 degrees is a massive change. That'll be our top temperature.
It's a huge jump. What's causing that?
So it's just the wind direction. If the winds come screaming down from the north, from the Arctic, which they have done since just about New Year, that's when we get the very cold air. And of course, it's brought all that snow to northern Scotland as well. That is changing. And as we head through Sunday and into Monday, we get this huge sweep over from the Atlantic. That's going to bring in air from the southwest. And that's going to bring us some snow on the leading edge where it whacks into that cold air. Then it'll all gradually turn to rain. Goodbye cold weather. We're into the mild conditions.
Oh, that sounds
That does
quite
sound
nice.
very good news, yeah.
I have to say. Steph, it's lovely to see you again. Thanks for braving the cold for us.
Pop back into the warm now.
I'll go get some tea.
Yeah, quite right.
We've had a lovely email in from Carla, Carla Sinclair, who about Bowie. She says, I saw David Bowie in the Ziggy Stardust and Aladdin Sane years. My friend's mum was a breakfast waitress at the hotel in Manchester where he was staying, and she happened to mention that we were going to see him that night. He came down to the hotel lobby to speak to us. He was so lovely to us two starstruck teenagers that we were at the time. He was taken from us far too soon.
See, that's nice. I think that's a sign of a real star.
Yeah.
The one who will mix and mingle and is genuinely nice. No.
I know. It reminds me of my sister always tells the story of how she met the Beatles the first time when she was a starstruck teenager, because they were playing in Worcester at the time, and we lived in Malvern, which is about 8 miles away. And instead of staying in a hotel in Worcester because they knew they would be swamped, they moved to a small hotel in Malvern. But my sister knew somebody who worked at the hotel, and so she and her friends went down there. And all four of them, they didn't actually get to meet them physically, but all four of them came out of the hotel window above them and threw them all sorts of things like from the hotel, like towels and toothbrushes, and they did get their autographs, so maybe they did meet them. But I think she was only about 14 at the time. But it's one of those memories that never leaves you when you meet somebody so huge and famous, and when they're lovely to you. That's what makes it, isn't it?
Makes all the difference.
You've
Keep
got
your
any
thoughts coming
stories?
through. gbnews.com/your say.
Right, now let's catch up with what weather is happening to you today. Here's Aidan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's certainly another cold start to the weekend. More snow and ice to watch out for, certainly some slippery surfaces about, but a lot of dry and bright weather before further rain and snow arrive tonight. Across much of the UK, however, despite the cold, it's a fine start. Plenty of sunny spells through central areas, some cloud in the east, likewise cloud in the west, giving a few rain and sleet showers around coastal parts. But for the vast majority, it's a dry Saturday, albeit a cold Saturday, 2 to 6 Celsius. Make the most of today's weather because it's all downhill after this. Low pressure starts to move in from the Atlantic as we end the day, but ahead of that, some clear spells allowing temperatures to fall away. Low single figures or a few degrees below freezing quite quickly as we go into the evening, those temperatures dropping because of the snow cover across northern parts of the UK and still some central areas. We're going to see that snow and the slush and the slippery surfaces once again, leading to an ice risk. But we are watching this system as it moves in tonight. So it's bringing a spell of rain in from the Atlantic. The winds pick up, but as that Atlantic weather bumps into the cold air already in place across the UK, we are once again going to see a spell of snow. Initially across parts of central and western Scotland inland, but elsewhere it's mostly rain. We start off with the chilly weather across eastern parts of the UK, milder Northern Ireland, Western England and Wales, in between this area of snow, affecting much of Scotland, Northern England. I think for higher parts of Northern England, disruptive snow likely, lower levels, more patchy snow. But across Scotland, that's where the deeper snow is going to occur. 10 to 20 centimetres at lower levels, 30 over hills, before it all turns back to rain by the end of the day.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Still to come, you'll have heard about all this fuss over Grok, which is the AI thing on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, apparently the government is considering banning X across the UK. We'll debate that next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dormy, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
7:25. Thanks very much. Lots of you getting in touch with people, famous people you've met, because we're talking about the fact that it's 10 years now to the day since we lost David Bowie. Sandra says, my friend got tickets to see the Beatles just as they were starting out in the very early days. She was really excited and she told her dad she was going to see the Beatles. He said, what sort of name is that? That's never going to catch on.
Interesting. It's interesting that, well, certainly 20 years ago, young people, which I was sort of one then, still thought that your Beatles, actual Beatles, everyone spelt it wrong.
Yeah, they spelt it as
with an A.
the group. Yeah, well, not surprising, I suppose.
It's just become synonymous with it. Anyway, there you go. Keep your thoughts coming through. I don't know if you can tweet them. Well, you can tweet them, actually, at the moment, at GB News, but maybe not for long, because the government's urging Ofcom to act within days over X after its Grok AI was used to create sexualised deepfakes that digitally undress people without consent.
Yeah, and not just people, not just women, but children. Ministers say the regulator must consider all options, including blocking the platform in the UK, after a backlash over the tool being triggered under users' images.
Well, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has hit out at the government for even considering it.
Thought of banning X from a government that's been attacking free speech and creating a two-tier society in our country, frankly, is appalling. Look, this feature clearly is horrible in every way, distasteful, sick. I get all of that. I know that X today have made some changes to say only paying subscribers can use the service. X will need to go further, but the thought of banning platforms, I mean, what is happening in 21st century Britain?
But a lot of people will have different views on this. Let's talk to the Director of Public Affairs at the Adam Smith Institute, Max Marlowe, and political commentator Fahima Mohammed. A very good morning to both of you. Max, let's hear from you first, because why shouldn't it be banned? If it's wrong, basically, and most people would feel it's morally wrong and offensive, why not ban it?
Well, good morning, firstly. I mean, so X has about 23 million users in the UK at the moment, and the concern is mainly to do with the fact that you can basically tag the AI bots known as Grok and have it basically manipulate images. I agree with Nigel Farage, and actually, the vast majority of people that this is completely wrong. And I don't think, limiting it to to paid users is going to fix this problem. The UK actually needs to enforce its own laws on what we call CSAM, or child sexually exploitative material, and actually put safeguards in place. But I think overall banning the platform is just the wrong move. The vast majority of people who use X are using it completely lawfully. They are using it in a non-harassment way. And I think banning an entire platform and what is essentially seen globally, and especially in the UK as a hub for free speech by this Prime Minister, is a gross, overstatement of government power and could do a lot of harm to discourse and civil unity in the UK.
I mean, Fahima, it's basically throwing the baby out with the bathwater, isn't it?
Well, let's be clear, this isn't about banning opinions or policing political speech. It's about a platform that has enabled industrial scale sexual abuse, nudified deep fakes of women, and even reports of, as you mentioned, involving children through an AI tool built into the service. That's not free speech. That's harm, and it's illegal. And the UK has an online safety regime for exactly this reason. Platforms have a duty to prevent and remove sort of like these kind of like restrictions and make sure that, at the end of the day, they have to meet the standards. Then fines and warnings aren't enough. Access restriction becomes the last resort, but it's actually necessary. And restricting the feature behind a paywall isn't accountability, as we've all agreed on, but Access proves that it can operate, has to prove that it can operate safely, or it shouldn't operate here at all. So again, I really do feel that, we're trying to teach boys to sort of, be respectful. And there are so many people, including so-called revenge porn, which is overwhelming, perpetrated by men against women in the UK. It's vastly reported, and it's basically a serious criminal offense for years now. So something this fundamental isn't, theoretical harm. It's known criminal patterns, which we need to, in our sort of UK law, need to use this as a platform so that we can actually, use this as a rule of law. Because at the moment, we cannot allow, even when there is a threat of the US sanctioning the country to enforce its own laws, the moment that we allow a foreign pressure as well to override our protections for our citizens, then it's the moment that the rule of law becomes optional. So that's also something that we need to regulate ourselves and make sure that from data protection to national security, we basically have things on our side when it comes to protections for women and children.
Max?
I partially agree with that. I think the problem is, though, is that, if you try and ban X, people will still try and get around it. And we can see this quite a lot with actually the current restrictions the government have placed on the platform as well as other platforms. A lot of people use VPNs, virtual private networks, for example, to get around a lot of these bans. So the actual harm mitigation, I think, would be quite limited. And I don't really think, trying to restrict the entire platform of X is going to work. We can see that David Lammy's currently in the US. He's spoken to JD Vance about this. JD Vance is partially in agreement to that, but I do think the US government, and we've seen what they've been up to recently, would be willing to place overall economic sanctions on the UK because there is, and they're right, there is a concern about free speech here. I agree with you, Stephen, actually, because this would be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think the actual laws we have on our books, we should be able to limit the amount of, CSAM and, harassment that this AI bot causes without having to get rid of an entire platform, which, let's remind everyone here, especially for people in Westminster and Whitehall, is widely used by the government. And I speak to people, who help communicate government services, and even they're quite worried about, trying to ban an entire platform. I mean, could you imagine for this Prime Minister, especially, trying to ban a platform which, let's be honest, has been quite critical, and the owner has been quite critical of him? I think, it would be the wrong way to go about regulating this issue. Because essentially you would be destroying the public square for debate and for holding the government accountable, whilst having the well-meaning way of stopping this sort of gross harm by an AI chatbot. So I think the government needs to be much smarter about this if they're trying to limit the harm here and also protect their political representations.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Faima, isn't it? You've got to think smartly about this, rather than, I mean, an outright ban would have numerous unintended consequences, or perhaps intended consequences.
Well, when technology enables criminal sexual abuse, the question isn't whether regulation is uncomfortable, it's whether the law still means anything. So let's be very clear about this debate. What is this debate actually about? It isn't about censorship, it's about or cancelling culture, it's about the harm. Okay, X has deployed an AI tool that has...
Get rid of ban Grok.
Well, again, he's got the ability to do so. And like I said before, we cannot talk anymore because it's not being done. It's just now there being monetized. So at the end of the day, it's not about, banning free speech. It's about enforcing the law, protecting consent, and making sure that powerful tech companies don't profit from abuse. And, it's not about the person or anything. It could be anyone. No one's above the law. And it's just like if a pub was repeatedly serving unsafe alcohol, it gets shut down. A factory, poisoning a river, it gets fined or closed. Tech platforms are not above the same principle. So when self-regulation fails, regulation follows. It's very simple.
OK, we've got to leave it there. Faima and Max, really good to get both of your views. Thanks very much indeed.
They've got to do something, haven't they? Can't they just stop Grok? Is that all it does? No,
it's just a basic AI tool.
I mean, there are other AI tools that do basically the same thing. I think Grok just makes it easier, doesn't it?
Well, it's just there, I guess.
And fashionable.
But do you need to ban the whole thing?
No, surely not.
I know, let us know what you think. Right, still to come. Has cricket drinking culture got out of control? I didn't know it's the thing. I thought it was all cucumber sandwiches and tea.
Cucumber sandwiches and cups of tea? Anyway. Well, we'll find out, because Aidan McGee will be here in a couple of moments.
Bowl. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No, because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dixon weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth. laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Aidan's got the sport at 7:38. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We talk about Rooney.
Yeah, not
just
that
a
one.
different one.
It is, exactly. This is 35-year-old John Rooney, the brother of Wayne Rooney, of course. Now, he's in charge of Macclesfield today as they take on at 12:15 Crystal Palace, who aren't just any old FA Cup proposition. They are, of course, the holders. They won it against Manchester City last May, didn't they, at Wembley with that Eberezer goal. Eberezer earning a huge transfer to Arsenal off the back of it. And we talk about the romance of the FA Cup, don't we? Is it dead? Do we see enough of it? Now, the problem is that we haven't really seen too many eye-catching ties this year. We saw Wrexham win through last night against Nottingham Forest on penalties. But John Rooney, interestingly, says... he's got a builder in his team, he's got a lawyer in his team, an ex-boxing champion and a former Love Island star. But he said it'd be even greater an achievement than his brother lifting the cup for Manchester United, which I think he last did in 2016. So good luck to him today. But as I say, they're going to have their work cut out against Crystal Palace. Some big ties last night, as I mentioned, Wrexham getting through on penalties. We saw Ryan Reynolds on the pitch, who I'm hoping to meet next week.
Are you?
Hoping to, yeah. He might snub me. You never know. I'm hoping to meet him.
Oh, you'll be...
He'll want to meet me, won't he?
You'll meet him.
Yes, of course he'll want to meet you. Yeah.
He was seen last night. I don't know if it was superstition, but he was seen just picking some grass off the pitch.
I'll bet you somebody said, "Oh, bring us a bit of the turf back." Do you think?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can understand if it was Wembley or Old Trafford or something, but not...
well, it's important to him, though, isn't it?
True. Oh, yeah, when he sunk as much money as you have, as he has into the club. But, yeah, look, the big question about the FA Cup, does it have a place in the whole... very congested schedule of football. Well, the fact is that even winning this trophy,
get rid of the FA Cup.
No, you're not going to get rid of it, but it needs the prizes need to be higher to make the clubs interested in it. We talk about money all the time. Well, the FA Cup, for winning the FA Cup, I think the prize money is about £6 million. That's about a third of what Lou Littler gets for a sponsorship.
Absolutely, it really is, isn't it?
That's for winning the whole thing.
That is an amazing thing when you think about it, isn't it?
It is.
Comparing the two sports.
I just thought of that in my head.
Now, look, what's all this about a cricket drinking culture?
Well, I don't think it's a new thing, actually. And, I mean, we've just seen this calamitous tour of England going down to Australia. And, look, we've seen... booze is still a big part of lots of sport, actually. A lot of players use it to...
You don't think of it in terms
It's
of
hidden these days, but with cricket, it was very much transparent and on show at the Ashes. It seemed that boozy trip to Noosa halfway through, or after the second test, when England were 2-0 down, it just seemed that was the priority. It couldn't be moved. It couldn't be like just put aside for one moment while they practiced some batting at the nets or some bowling or whatever to improve their performance. It didn't work like that. It seems it was a 4-day thing. It's since emerged that Harry Brook, one of their star young batters, back in October, it didn't come out at the time, but it's come out in the last few days that he was chucked out of a nightclub in New Zealand allegedly for being inebriated on a night out. So, I mean, Brendan McCullum, Baz to his mates and to you and I, he's the guy who's masterminded this move towards Bazball in the last 4 years, this expansive style of cricket which has as many detractors as it has admirers. But he's saying, look, I might be the wrong man for the job. Hopefully I'll get to stay in the role. But he denies that England has drinking culture within the squad. He said some of the players don't even drink on nights out, or they only have a couple. I mean, you could have fooled me, if you're perfectly honest. And I just don't think the optics look good, if you pardon the pun.
Of course they don't.
The players are always out drunk, and yet they're getting beaten. I mean, you saw... I mean, there were senior people within the ECB saying that the whole itinerary of the tour should have been looked at. And it should have been more focus on getting the job done and doing the job of work that they're down there to do.
It's not too much to ask for, is it?
No.
Really?
Isn't it the captain's sort of responsibility to keep everybody
Well, it's captain, it's selector, it's key people, it's the coach as well. Everybody. It works slightly differently in cricket because there's a smaller number of people controlling things, but that should make it easier to govern.
Yeah. All right, Aidan, for now, thank you very much indeed. We've got lots still to head your way. We've got the papers with Suzanne and Steve looking at Amazon parcels being dropped in your back garden.
By a drone.
Very good.
A flying drone.
Exciting times. But first, before all that, here's the European forecast.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Strong winds are expected across eastern parts of the Mediterranean at the moment. Meanwhile, heavy rain will affect parts of Turkey into Cyprus as well. This system is gradually moving away, so it's going to dry up across Greece and the Greek islands early next week. A few showers eastern parts of Italy, otherwise plenty of fine weather, and Spain's looking reasonable. Sunny spells, average temperatures. Likewise for the Canaries, plenty of fine weather to come during the days ahead.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
7:46, we're going through the papers with political commentator Suzanne Evans and our very own Steve N. Allen. Good morning to you both. Can we have a look at this in the Telegraph about Greenland? There's all this. Is Trump going to take over? He says if he doesn't take over, he's going to get it by come hell or high water. We're saying Britain will stop it.
We won't stop it, but we won't help it happen.
Well, that's...
Yeah, we'll stand by idly and watch it happen. That's probably not the way they want it spun, but that's effectively what they're saying. So this is we're hearing that we won't let our bases be used to support a war on Greenland. Hopefully all of this is noise anyway. You'd imagine this is the Trump tactic. He actually he let it slip on a press conference once when talking about tariffs on China, where he actually said, of course, the figure we've given isn't the figure we're after. Of course, you start ridiculously high and you get lower.
Yes, he did say that.
That's what this has to be, surely. If you're saying, yeah, we're not taking military off the table as an option to go in there and invade Greenland, surely this is just setting the scene for some sort of a buying of land or a financial deal. Indeed, if you are Greenland and you want to get access to your rare earth metals, you probably need someone like America to help with the mining and extraction of it. It's not easy to do. Hopefully it's that, but I'm really having to stress that word hopefully, aren't I? Because it's not... Trump isn't... He's making the sounds like it will possibly involve some troops.
I think it's really interesting in this article in the Telegraph. It shows that actually he's got support from the unlikely quarter of Sir Richard Dearlove, the former head of MI6. He's actually saying that Denmark should lease Greenland to America for a few years to strengthen Europe's security and deter threats from China. He says there's actually a strong argument for letting Trump have Greenland to beef up European security. And I don't think there's any sense here about Trump invading. What's happening is he's basically saying to the Greenlanders, well, if you decide you'd like us to have Greenland, then we'll pay you about $75,000 each, which is not a small sum of money. So I have to laugh really at the Defence Secretary.
It's quite an interesting move, that.
Well, I think it's a very interesting move. So I think, the Defence Secretary, John Healey, stepping in and saying there's no question of us offering America support to launch bombs or whatever from our air bases if he invades. It's not about invasion, I don't think, Trump. It's about a little bit of financial coercion.
Well, they're worried, basically. It's not about the landmass, which is snow and ice mostly. It's about who's in the waters around.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
It is strategically very important.
Yeah.
I think leasing's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a bad idea. And, you look at Greenland and where it is on the map, it's a bit closer to the US than it is to Denmark. Not that that's got anything to do with it, of course, because somebody will mention Argentina.
No.
I'm not suggesting
you're
that.
on thin ice,
thin ice in Greenland.
Let's have a look at the Times, should we? If we decide... If there is a peace deal with Ukraine and we decide we will send peacekeeping troops in, we've got to find 200 million quid to do it, apparently.
Yeah, so we're obviously part of the so-called coalition of the willing, 35 countries who have agreed to support a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine. And I think the key word here is a peacekeeping mission. That's what we have signed up to. We've not signed up to put boots on the ground to support Ukraine in the actual fight.
The prerequisite to any of this is that there will be a peace deal.
Absolutely right.
And is that likely?
Who knows? Anyone who can know really? But I have to say, I think it's obviously, as I said, 35 countries. I think the impression is that it's Britain and France that are mostly going to be coughing up for this and actually putting the troops into Ukraine. I'll be honest, £200 million to me doesn't seem like a massive amount of money.
It's not a huge amount in the
great scheme of things.
But it's not going to happen anyway, is it?
Well, I mean, according to Putin, things will be closer to peace in 2 weeks' time. He said that every 2 weeks for about a year and a half now. You're right, it's a small amount of money. We should be spending more on armed forces anyway.
Well, there's a £28 billion black hole in the armed forces, isn't there?
Yeah, so at least this might be heading in the right direction, maybe. Also, why don't you take that $1.8 billion that setting up digital ID will cost and give that in this direction?
And also not pay for the Chagos Islands to go to Mauritius.
Absolutely. There's all kinds of savings we could find if we were in government.
Yeah. I don't know why not.
If only.
We should do it ourselves. Can we have a look at the... again, this is in the... it's like a Telegraph special, this one, Steve, because I'm very excited by this. Amazon drones.
There's a test scheme now up in Darlington where they're going to see if you can have your Amazon stuff delivered as if it's not fast enough already. Somehow you press the thing on the phone and the next day it's there. That's not good enough. You get these drones dropping it off in your back garden.
You want it within an hour.
Oh, is that how? Yeah, it's too slow for you, is it? Remember in the old days when you'd order something and you had to leave 28 days for delivery?
Oh, God.
That would blow the minds of the young people these days. They've got a test scheme. In the old days, you'd have to have someone actually, like, clearing the airspace. They've sorted it out, so you don't need that. Although there is a line from the article that says, rules governing how they detect and avoid other air vehicles have not yet been finalised. That's the bit that terrifies me. They're going to.
But have you seen the way they work? I mean, they fly over, they drop a cable with your thingy on there, and then, because if you've put in the code that you've been given by Amazon, it just clicks off and then it goes away again.
Well,
and you've suddenly had it delivered to your back garden.
I don't know why this is going to be any more effective than the normal delivery thing. So I live in a tiny hamlet. We all know the look of each other's porches, doorsteps, outhouses now, because they nearly always go to the wrong thing. And we've got community group. We say, OK, this is where it is. I think this is your house, you know.
We've got exactly the same thing.
I think this is going to be exactly the same thing.
No, it won't be, because it's like when you use robots. When I use robots for my shopping, you're putting a pin. It's like an Uber thing, and you're putting a pin on the map so it knows where it's going to drop it.
But what if you live in a flat?
Well, you've got a problem if you live in a flat.
And I think too, you know, I have to say, and I'm slightly, you know, enlightened by the fact that you say it's going to come on a cable, because I've got visions of this, because they're not small, are they? Yeah, kind of smashing your garden statuary and bashing your bushes. But it sounds like it's a little bit more controlled than that.
There will be no
anyway.
washing lines in the future. Can we just say there's not a hope?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. I just think it's. I mean,
It's only
you're sceptical. You're sceptical. Me and Steve, being the young guns.
Ageism going on here. I think you're on talking about thin ice. Somebody else is walking on thin ice now.
Where the future, Steve?
Yeah, but the future looks bright if it's us.
Oh, it does. It does. It's right for you. You're still
when we've all given up our garages because we'll no longer need them because we will have driverless cars that will just come for you, we'll have space, won't we? That will open up a lot of space in your average town or city.
Big window box if you're in a flat. A really big window.
Big window box. Or you just hold out your hand and wait for them to drop it into.
Anyway, if you
on that note, we're out of time.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Here's the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's certainly another cold start to the weekend. More snow and ice to watch out for, certainly some slippery surfaces about, but a lot of dry and bright weather before further rain and snow arrive tonight. Across much of the UK, however, despite the cold, it's a fine start. Plenty of sunny spells through central areas, some cloud in the east, likewise cloud in the west, giving a few rain and sleet showers around coastal parts. But for the vast majority, it's a dry Saturday, albeit a cold Saturday, 2 to 6 Celsius. Make the most of today's weather because it's all downhill after this. Low pressure starts to move in from the Atlantic as we end the day, but ahead of that, some clear spells allowing temperatures to fall away. Low single figures or a few degrees below freezing quite quickly as we go into the evening, those temperatures dropping because of the snow cover across northern parts of the UK and still some central areas. We're going to see that snow and the slush and the slippery surfaces once again leading to an ice risk. But we are watching this system as it moves in tonight. So it's bringing a spell of rain in from the Atlantic. The winds pick up, but as that Atlantic weather bumps into the cold air already in place across the UK, we are once again going to see a spell of snow. Initially across parts of central and western Scotland inland, but elsewhere it's mostly rain. We start off with the chilly weather across eastern parts of the UK, milder Northern Ireland, Western England and Wales, in between this area of snow, affecting much of Scotland, Northern England. I think for higher parts of Northern England, disruptive snow likely, lower levels, more patchy snow. But across Scotland, that's where the deeper snow is going to occur, 10 to 20 centimetres at lower levels, 30 over hills, before it all turns back to rain by the end of the day.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make 2026 the year of yes. That's yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to making all of those dreams come true this year. Just make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Patrick Christie's Tonight. Weekdays from 9 p.m.
Look, this is winter. It's flu. Flu comes in winter. Sure as eggs is eggs. There's nothing particularly special about the virus. It has mutated, but that change has made it able to spread through the community by defeating our existing immunity. But the virus itself remains the same in terms of its clinical impact. So while it's a problem at a community and population level, lots of cases, for people who catch this, it's no worse than normal seasonal flu. It's not like we've got a supercharged flu that makes people much iller. We've got a virus that's spreading better and it's come earlier. So we're seeing it rising up the sort of infectious disease rates faster for this time of year. And there are a number of reasons for that, partly because it is a different virus, it's mutated. We haven't seen this particular strain spread for a couple of years. So population immunity levels are quite low. That's why it's spreading more.
What you said there, very calm, very rational, quite reassuring, to be honest with you, seems very logical, understandable. Earlier today, the BBC decided to do a report that looked a lot like this. Let's play the clip.
The throwback, isn't it? We were used to wearing these a few years ago. Now this is the precaution being taken. Also, people are being told to make sure their hands are clean and that they're not bringing germs into the hospital.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't got time to play it all, but she goes on to, like, you know, use the hand sanitizer. Again, I'm just wondering if it's a little bit fear-mongery.
Well, look, we must take flu seriously because it's a fact that if we tot up the excess mortality in the wintertime, just in the UK, and we attribute a lot of this excess mortality to flu, in an average year, maybe 5,000-6,000 people will lose their lives to flu. And in a bad year, it might be as high as 20,000. So we don't take this lightly. We're not complacent about flu.
GB News, the People's Channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British Airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country.
Good morning. Police are giving in to Islamists. That's according to the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, as he says the fight against Islamism is the fight of our generation.
This comes as the government is also reportedly preparing a new official definition of Islamophobia, which free speech campaigners say that could possibly prevent legitimate criticism of Islam.
More protests erupt in Iran as the supreme leader accuses crowds of trying to please Trump. In the last hour, the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has said the US supports the brave people of Iran.
Meanwhile, President Trump has said that the US is going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. Speaking overnight, he warned that he feels obliged to act, or else Russia or China will take over.
We're live in Hungary this morning, witnessing security measures in place to prevent illegal migration. Are there one or two things that our politicians could learn?
It was dubbed the biggest storm in a decade. Storm Geretti, though, has now moved on. But are conditions like this, hail, snow, high winds, becoming more frequent? And has the country got itself up and running again yet?
It is 10 years today since we lost David Bowie. We've been paying tribute and will continue to pay tribute throughout the show.
And have you ever fancied a real challenge? This man that we're watching now on top of a mountain, well, he set the bar pretty high because he's become the first double above the knee amputee to climb the highest peaks on all 7 continents.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is due for talks with the Manchester United hierarchy today over his return to Old Trafford on an interim basis. It's FA Cup weekend and Chelsea begin life under new manager Liam Rossini at Charlton tonight. And in darts, Luke Littler signs a sponsorship deal worth up to £20 million.
We start the weekend with yet more cold weather, snow and ice still in places. A big change is on the way tonight and into tomorrow. Rain arrives from the Atlantic, but for some, that simply means more snow. Much more coming up in the forecast very soon.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast. Of course, with the weather being as it is at the moment, do you remember there was a word for it last week, wasn't there? Something Monday when everybody went online booking holidays.
Oh, it was Super Saturday.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, that's right. I was here. No, I remember. This weather is. I mean, may a lot of us be, really fed up with it, but it must be good for the holiday industry, mustn't it?
I would have thought
because
so.
It just gives you the impetus to just go online.
You can tell by the adverts on the radio.
Yes, you can tell by the adverts everywhere. In fact, I was just having a ruminating through the Daily Mail's got a pull-out thing. The world's cheapest 5-star hotels. And they're quite interesting. It's big. There's a great list of them from Britain right through to Thailand. But they are 5-star, and if you fancy a hotel holiday, just maybe a weekend or a week away, that might be worth looking at. I shall keep you updated.
Yeah, well, you do like a little holiday.
I do. Well, the idea of it being 5-star but also cheap is very interesting.
Well, yes, yes. Anyway.
And did you know Dolly Parton's opened a hotel?
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
In Dollyland?
Well, I don't know. I'll find out more about that too.
Dollywood.
Is it Dollywood?
Dollywood.
Yeah. I'd love to go there.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fab.
Yeah.
I'll find out more.
Who doesn't love Dolly?
No, absolutely. She's a
Great
legend.
woman.
Legend.
Anyway, look, let's crack on before Anne books another holiday. Oh, no, go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, talking of Dolly being Dolly, and today is the 10th anniversary, sad anniversary. It's 10 years since we lost David Bowie. And lots of you, thank you very much, have been in touch saying whether you'd met him or you'd gone to a particularly memorable concert or whatever, or anything, which has led to lots of stories about you meeting other big name stars. So if you've got any pictures, please send them in of yourself with them or something like that, or a story. And if you're sending a picture, it has to be gbviews@gbnews.com.
Yes, that'd be great to see, actually.
Yeah. Keep them coming.
Right. The Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, has said Britain faces the fight of our generation against extremists.
Yes, he's warning that police have been basically giving in for years to Islamists because it's too challenging to actually confront them.
Let's talk to political commentator Piers Pottinger, who's here in the studio. Lovely to see you this morning. This is very straight talking. Yes. This is the sort of straight talking that we've been wanting from our politicians for a very long time, and up until a few years ago, weren't getting at all.
Yes, and Robert Jenrick's quite a straight talker and becoming more so by the day. He, of course, let's not forget, was the immigration minister. And, of course, that has sparked a problem for him.
Well, except he quit in protest at the way it was being handled.
Well, he did, yes. But ministers who resign, I never have much sympathy for in situations like that. But anyway, and of course, Leila Cunningham, the Reform mayoral candidate for London, has said she wouldn't welcome Jenrick into the party.
Oh, no, she's changed her mind now.
And she's changed her mind, has she?
Yeah,
would welcome her.
we spoke to her yesterday. And she said the headlines weren't quite accurate.
Oh, right. That's very interesting.
And she'd be very willing, to see him, and I can't think of the phrase now, but, make up for his sins.
Yes, well, I mean, that is very interesting because for a long time, most political sources I talked to have been saying that Jenrick is hovering and could easily be someone to defect and the biggest name to defect to Reform. And I think it's more likely now because Kemi Badenoch's doing better than she was, and she's strengthening her position as leader. And while a few months ago you might have said Jenrick was in very much in the driving seat to take over, now she's looking stronger, so he might even move. Politicians are all about personal ambition, and this is transparent. But Jenrick's point about immigration is very fair. And we saw, I don't know if you saw, Craig Guilford, the Chief Constable of the West Midlands Police, facing the Select Committee this week, where his behaviour was quite frankly shocking, and he should immediately resign.
Can you describe what happened then?
Well, he more or less admitted, but it had to be drawn out of him. It was like pulling teeth to get anything out of him at all. And his whole attitude was incredibly arrogant. And there was a very serious issue. What actually emerged was they'd lied about the reason for banning the Jewish supporters for the match. They lied about it.
Tel Aviv.
And they were driven by Islamic extremists, fear of them, rather than what they said at the time, the behaviour of these supporters. So it's a very dangerous precedent. He's been shown, the West Midlands Police, who have a very checkered past, I may say, they should immediately force him to resign over this matter.
I mean, it was
and they should apologise.
Because someone said to him, why didn't you raise the point that there was concern about local agitators? Nobody asked me.
No. Well, I mean
that's not right.
No, that really isn't acceptable. But again, the problem is that people also confuse Islamophobia or Islamism with racism, and it's not, because Islam is a religion, not a race.
Well, yes, but also it's where you've got to be. It's where you have got to be careful. Islamism is not the same as Islam, as being a Muslim.
No, I mean, Islamism here, what we're talking about is fundamental Islamism, and the kind of thing that the Ayatollah in Iran represents, who is looking very shaky at the moment, and thanks to uprising by the people. The problem we have here is that the Islamic extremists are all over the country and are increasingly calling the shots, not only with our benefits system, but also with the police. And that is very worrying.
To the extent that apparently parents in countries like the UAE at the moment are worried about sending their children to be educated in Britain.
Yes.
Because they're worried about them being...
Well, the UAE has restricted funding for students wishing to go to university in Britain now. They used to be very generous in supporting their fees. They've cut that now for that very reason. Now when you're getting a Muslim country saying that Britain is too radical, wake up, Britain. This is very serious. And it could lead to really massive problems.
On a totally different issue, can I ask you about Greenland?
Oh, yes.
And Trump.
Yes.
We're going to get Greenland by hook or by crook, basically.
We are. Well, after shaking his maracas in Caracas, Donald Trump is now heading for Greenland. And actually, you know, it's a very interesting situation. Instead of, like the British government, the British government sold the Chagos, well, it's paying to get rid of the Chagos Islands, which is a strategic, very strategically important base for us. On the other hand, you've got Donald Trump going to take over Greenland, which I'm sure he'll succeed in, because no one's going to stop him. No one's got the... I mean, I'm afraid might is right, and he's going to win. I am against the idea of taking over a sovereign state without their approval.
He could maybe lease it?
He could maybe lease it, but I think... the Greenlanders, on the other hand, may do very well out of it, because he is talking about paying them all, and they may all get a little bit of a windfall. And if America is controlling it, what are they going to lose? And if you look at it in reality, and Donald Trump is nothing if not pragmatic, he knows that most of the Greenlanders, when they really think about it, if they're going to be better off, they're going to be in favour of it. And it's not actually going to change their life very much.
It's interesting.
And then there's Iran, which
yeah.
you mentioned briefly earlier. I mean, what do you see as happening? Do you think, for the first time in many decades, there is a chance that the present regime, the appalling regime, could be overturned? And not by politicians, but by people.
By the people themselves, yes. And there are some signs that are very reminiscent of when the Shah was deposed, by the way the people are behaving. Ironically, they now have a leader of the opposition in the shape of the deposed Shah's son, who's lived all his life in exile, but and also has some rather extremist friends of his own, which is slightly worrying. But he's a figurehead, and they need a figurehead, even though he's not even in the country, because he's not allowed in the country. But they need a figurehead, and they've got one. It does look increasingly like the Ayatollah might well have to go. The regime itself may say, you've got to retire. He's 86, a little bit frailer, not quite as in control as he was.
And President Trump has been saying overnight that the Shah is looking... Sorry, not the Shah. The Ayatollah has been looking for somewhere to flee to.
Yeah, Russia, they're saying. They all seem to end up in Russia. Assad's in Russia. And so I'm sure they'll get on very well. But, I mean, it is really looking like it. And if they need a little nudge, I'm sure Trump will be only too keen to do that.
Piers, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you later.
The world is changing before our eyes, almost, isn't it?
Now, at 13 minutes past 8, the Princess of Wales, as you know, celebrated her 44th birthday yesterday.
Yes, her birthday fell just days before the first anniversary of her announcement at the start of 2025 that she was in remission now from cancer.
Well, in the final instalment of Kensington Palace's quarterly Mother Nature series, Princess Catherine said the cold season has a way of bringing stillness and patience.
In the coldest, darkest season, winter has a way of bringing us stillness, patience, and quiet consideration, where the stream slows just enough for us to see our own reflection.
Well, we're all thrilled, of course, that she's feeling well and that feels that, you know, now she can look forward. And she has talked a lot about nature helping her do that. But then you could argue she's got the time and the luxury of being able to do that. A lot of other people haven't. So what did you think of the video? Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams joins us now. Richard, what did you think of that video?
I thought it was charming. It's one of a series, so you've got all the seasons. I mean, this is the way she is emphasizing, firstly, there, as you mentioned, happily in remission. She's talking about the importance, which has been very considerable to her, of communing with nature. And also this links with her feeling that the outdoors is so important. And of course, as we know, she's doing so much work on the early years of childhood. And there's little doubt there that there'll be another theme that, for example, instead of just being on your mobile phones indoors, you might benefit perhaps from scouts or outdoor activities. It's linked to something that she's been pushing for quite some time.
Yeah, it's interesting how she's forging her own path.
Well, I think that there are several issues that, most particularly with the early years, also the issue of mental health. And remember, she's a keen photographer and also various arts charities that she promotes. I mean, there's absolutely no question that William and Catherine have both made the decision to take on far fewer patronages than other senior members of the royal family used to, but to do much more for the ones that they actually are attached to. So she made, with William, a surprise appearance at Charing Cross Hospital on the just before her birthday, and she is doing more engagements. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation with William due in for the World Cup in the United States on the 27th of July, I said 27th of June. Would it be possible, because obviously there'll be royal representation and America is celebrating 250 years, for Catherine and perhaps George, Charlotte and Louis, who knows, to join them? I mean, that would be public relations dynamite. There's little doubt that trips abroad are tremendously significant to the use of soft power.
Yes, it's interesting what Stephen said. She is carving her own path, and you get the feeling that she's actually, I don't know whether it's always been there, but she's almost sounding as though she's thinking spiritually as well.
I think that this is a matter of quite a lot of speculation, because it's been said, though not proven, that William is not particularly religious, and indeed that a spiritual side is emerging from Catherine, especially if you consider the difficult period where she's been successfully fighting cancer. I mean, there's no doubt at all that this is being talked about a good deal, especially remembering that William one day will be Supreme Governor of the Church of England, so the spiritual aspect to his rule is very important.
Talking of kings, it's in some of the papers this morning that apparently Harry has invited the king to open the Invictus Games. What do we make of that? It's a heck of an olive branch.
Oh, it certainly is. And this is Harry, for once, using a very, very significant opportunity in a very positive way. I mean, if this happened, remember, of course, the king being Supreme Governor being Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Invictus, founded in 2014 by Harry, is a very significant military charity. It's therefore, you could argue, part of the king's duty. And of course, then we have reconciliation. If this happens, you could also ask, who else will be there? Will Meghan be there? And if not, why not? And so forth. It's a major dilemma so far as the king is concerned, because of course he wouldn't wish to do anything without, I'm sure he would not, without consulting Prince William, and we know that he might have strong views about this. Also, we've got a period where Harry will be in court against associated newspapers. The king will not wish to be involved in that in any way. And of course, there's a security review, which is pretty well certain to give him what he's been wanting. So a huge question mark, but undoubtedly, as far as Harry's concerned, a very positive move towards reconciliation, and we'll see where it goes.
We will.
Indeed. OK, Richard, lovely to talk to you. Thank you.
From what we hear, I can't imagine Prince William being thrilled about that.
No, but it
then
is
the king's got to take his own decisions.
It is an opportunity, and frankly, the king, if the king snubbed it, then he looks like he's snubbing it. And it is armed forces, which the king obviously is incredibly passionate about. So it's a difficult one.
Yeah,
it's a difficult one. I sort of hope he does it, really. What have you got to lose?
I do, but just as we said there, what if Meghan was there as well? How could she not be? She'd have to be, surely, if the king's there. Then what happens? I don't know.
Well, it keeps him in the right. It keeps the king in the right.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Whereas if he says no, he's putting himself perhaps potentially in the wrong.
And
You've got to always keep yourself in the right.
Just a big step forward to family getting together.
Well, you've got to hope so.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure you'll have a view. In the meantime, don't go anywhere today if you can avoid it. Stay in, because it's not very nice out there. Here's the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's certainly another cold start to the weekend. More snow and ice to watch out for, certainly some slippery surfaces about, but a lot of dry and bright weather before further rain and snow arrive tonight. Across much of the UK, however, despite the cold, it's a fine start. Plenty of sunny spells through central areas, some cloud in the east, likewise cloud in the west, giving a few rain and sleet showers around coastal parts. But for the vast majority, it's a dry Saturday, albeit a cold Saturday, 2 to 6 Celsius. Make the most of today's weather because it's all downhill after this. Low pressure starts to move in from the Atlantic as we end the day, but ahead of that, some clear spells allowing temperatures to fall away. Low single figures or a few degrees below freezing quite quickly as we go into the evening, those temperatures dropping because of the snow cover across northern parts of the UK and still some central areas. We're going to see that snow and the slush and the slippery surfaces once again leading to an ice risk. But we are watching this system as it moves in tonight. So it's bringing a spell of rain in from the Atlantic. The winds pick up, but as that Atlantic weather bumps into the cold air already in place across the UK, we are once again going to see a spell of snow. Initially across parts of central and western Scotland inland, but elsewhere it's mostly rain. We start off with the chilly weather across eastern parts of the UK, milder Northern Ireland, Western England and Wales, in between this area of snow, affecting much of Scotland, Northern England. I think for higher parts of Northern England, disruptive snow likely, lower levels, more patchy snow. But across Scotland, that's where the deeper snow is going to occur, 10 to 20 centimetres at lower levels, 30 over hills, before it all turns back to rain by the end of the day.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Time for the Great British Giveaway now. And if you win it, you'll be able to go to Dolly Parton's new hotel.
That's what she's looking at on the computer. There's no work happening on that computer.
It's in Nashville, and it hasn't opened yet. It's opening in June.
Dolly Parton's Song Teller Hotel.
Song Teller, yeah. And it looks fabulous. And it would be really good fun. But it's about $450 a night it sort of starts at.
What's that in pounds? About 300 quid?
Yeah, 300 and a bit more.
It's not cheap.
No, not cheap, but, well, it is presumably a five-star hotel. It looks fabulous, and you throw yourself into the... And there's a nightclub called Jolene's and things like that.
It'd be great for a couple of nights.
Wouldn't it? Just to have some fun. Anyway, sorry, that's what I was saying.
You need money to go.
You need money to go, and this is the way to get it, if you possibly can, is to win our Great British Giveaway. 85 grand should get you a few nights there anyway. Here's how to take part.
There's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make 2026 the year of yes. That's yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to making all of those dreams come true this year. What would you spend all of that cash on? 2026 could be the year you spend more time spending with an incredible £85,000 in your bank. Just make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, best of luck to you on that one. Anne's just trying to book herself a room.
It's not just me. You were quite interested.
I do think it looks great, but then I love Dolly. Why not? What's not to love? Anyway, look, talking of icons, it is 10 years since we lost David Bowie, but we are going to be celebrating him and talking to one of his lifelong friends in just a moment.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Brave.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
It's sad in a way, but it gives us a chance to celebrate his life, because today marks 10 years since the death of British legend David Bowie.
Yeah, an icon in so many ways. I mean, think about the music, but it's so much more than the music, isn't it? So he's got a tremendous amount to be remembered by.
Yeah. Well, GB News' Sophia Hill has this report.
That was, of course, Starman, the song that announced David Bowie as a pop star from another world. Today marks 10 years since Bowie died of liver cancer, just 2 days after releasing his final album, Black Star. Born David Robert Jones in Brixton in 1947, Bowie reinvented music and identity through characters like Ziggy Stardust and Aladdin Sane. And this year, fans will be able to step inside his childhood home in South London, which is opening to the public for the very first time. Sophia Hill, GB News.
Well, it's always amazing when we talk about these stars, when you get to chat to someone who really knew them. And one such person is George Underwood. Good morning to you. It's incredible to talk to you because your memories of Bowie must be phenomenal because, of course, you knew him way before the fame.
That's right, yeah. I mean, we knew each other for 60 years, basically. We met when we were both 9 years old. There's only a month between us in our ages. And we were both enrolling for the Cubs at the time. And our first interest was, well, everything that we listened to on the radio and TV which was at the time Radio Luxembourg, and then there was some programs like a 6-5 special, which had all the latest rock and roll people. But I mean, in those days, rock and roll was just rearing its head, and we knew something was happening, and that's what we talked about, and a lot of things anything to do with America, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, who did he particularly admire?
Well, Little Richard was he was a big fan of, and I was a big fan of Buddy Holly, and in 1958, I managed to see Buddy Holly. I was only 11. Wow. I didn't go with David, but I went with we were both in the St Mary's Church choir, and one of the chaps from there said to me, "You're a big Buddy Holly fan." I said, "Yes." "Well, I'm going to get some tickets. Do you want to come?" And so he chaperoned me. He was about 15, 11 years old. My first. People say, "What was your first gig?" I said, "Buddy Holly and the Crickets." That's quite prestigious, I think.
It's quite something. Look, when we talk about David, it's not just the music; it's the style and the quirkiness in a sense. But part of that was his natural look, of course. I mean, he was his bone structure and all the rest of it, but also his eyes, of course, with one eye, as you can see there, permanently dilated, which is your fault, George.
Yeah. I wonder how that happened. Yeah.
What was the story behind that?
Well, I'll cut it's a long story short. We both are interested in the same girl. And at 15, you sort of take that thing quite seriously. And I managed to get a date with her. And he I think he was a bit annoyed that I got there first, if you like. But anyway, he phoned me on the day that I was meant to meet her and said that she can't meet you. She's phoned me and she wants to go out with me, blah, 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 which was all a load of rubbish because I went down there a little bit later on and her mate said, Carol's been waiting for you for over an hour. So he made me look that I'd stood her up, you see, and I was rather angry about that. So I did sprinkle a bit of stardust on him later.
Yeah. Yeah, you did really with all of that. What was it? I mean, you managed to get over that, thankfully, and stayed friends. But how did he change, or did he change at all with you over the years?
He was always changing, always. I remember one funny time when he came to school. We were only, I think we were in the second year at school at Bromley Tech, and his hair was so short, it was like a real cropped crew cut, I know he was into Jerry Mulligan at that time, which was a jazz saxophonist. You've got to remember, every week he was into something else. So he said, I've got my Jerry Mulligan haircut. He'd already had a JFK haircut a few weeks before, But he took me to one side later and said, "Actually, George, I'll tell you what happened." He said, "I tried cutting my hair last night on my own. I made a complete mess of it. Fortunately, there was a hairdresser girl who lived a few doors away, and she came over and tied it out for me." So it was a mistake. It went wrong. But he made it look that it was all his idea. But.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. Is that not only was he a musician, but he was very much an artist, and he made himself a work of art, didn't he? Gradually.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, art was one of his big passions, and he could read a book about Italian Renaissance art and become an expert on it, overnight, or sort of thing. He was his reading capacity was amazing, and when it came to art at school, we both had the same art teacher, which was Owen Frampton, who was my mentor. He's very, very helpful with my career because that's what I do. I'm a painter, but. David, as you say, was a living piece of art, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I tell you what's odd. Just as you were talking, we were showing some pictures of him over the years, and one of him in a pale green, like a mint suit. And I recognise that. I recognise that suit because that's from the Freddie tribute concert. Which
okay.
That one there, and you can see he's got the age ribbon on, all the rest of it, and that. I mean, I was there. I saw him in that. I saw him perform, and well, what? I mean, it must be different for you because you know him. But for me, it was beyond electric. If I'd ever have been able to speak to him, I wouldn't have known what to say at all. Was he ever a sort of big star with you, or was he always just David Jones?
That's the funny thing, you see. We never had change. Whenever he came around to see, oh, George, right? You know, it was like just like nothing had happened. You know, he was. I've been on tours with him. I've been on holidays with him. You know, he liked having my company to relax, get away from all that, and that was really quite nice. And I mean, right to the very end. Every birthday, he sent me a hamper from Fortnum and Mason. How nice is that? What a nice chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got any sort of one standout moment where you just couldn't believe what you were witnessing? Maybe you were backstage at a concert or something like that.
Well, I must admit, when we were invited to go on the 1972 US tour of the Ziggy, when Ziggy was first launched in the US, you know, and there he is standing with all his gear on in front of us, and just watching the audience with their mouth open. You know, that was quite amazing. You know, he did cause a stir over there. But what they were very clever at with his management at that time was putting the red carpet out for him all the time. You see, and people were going, "Who's that bloke?" You know, because he wasn't known at all over there, but because he had this sort of hype, if you like, for want of a better word, people said, "Oh, I better go and see him. It looks as though he could be interesting," you know, and interesting when he was.
Well, he certainly was. I tell you what, it's lovely to talk to you, George, and it's lovely that, despite the fact we're marking 10 years without him, it's 10 years on that we can still celebrate because there's so much about him to celebrate, and that's a really great legacy, isn't it?
Isn't it? I mean, I don't think he would have even realised how much interest there still is in him. You know, he was amazing, and it goes on and on. Yeah.
It's what makes not just a singer or an artist, what makes somebody a phenomenon and a legend. And it's an overused word sometimes, but I don't think it is when it comes to David Bowie.
No.
Great to talk to you.
He was extraordinary, yeah. Thank you for interviewing me. Yeah.
Well, it's a real pleasure, George. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Oh, it's nice.
Great, isn't it? Really lovely. It can give you something to think about over the next few minutes. Grab yourself a cup of tea, think of Bowie, think of your favourite tune, and we're back in just a second.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
8:42 now. We're joined now by a farmer who's been forced really to get creative in how he's managing his business, because he's selling the produce now not to supermarkets but on social media.
Yeah, he's David Wheatley. He's with us now. Fourth-generation farmer, got loads of stuff to sell to now nearly 500,000 followers.
Over 500,000, so it keeps growing every day on all of my platforms.
You're sounding so digital already.
Well, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'll put the same stuff on everything, and for quite a long time, nothing happens on anything. And then all of a sudden, one thing moves. So you can get a bit of energy from that. So if you're just on one thing and nothing happens, it's not so good. But
how much of a lifeline has it been for you? Because how bad were things?
I wouldn't be a farmer right now if it wasn't for social media. And I can 100% say that. I went on a bit of a downward spiral with, we had a fire and COVID hit really bad, and farmers don't get paid a lot anyway. So when you need to recover big losses, it's not possible. So I couldn't afford to sell to the supermarket anymore.
Now, what sort of stuff are we talking about, your produce?
Well, I started off with cut flowers. So I'll grow cut flower peonies, and we got quite a lot, and we used to sell to supermarkets. But since then, I've sold all of them through social media, direct to people's doors, and I didn't think I could be able to do it with something boring like apples or potatoes. So we started off selling apples online as well, and then for 4 months you get nothing, and then suddenly you do one TikTok that goes viral, and I sold 8.5 acres worth of apples in 2 days.
Wow. I mean, how do you even begin to manage that?
Well, I'm just chasing my tail most of the time. I'm making it up as I go along, and you don't think it's going to work. I never thought anything was going to work. But from my perspective, I was in quite a bit of financial difficulty, and just seeing that there might be a little bit of hope that if it works, it might happen, keeps you going. So I've been in survival mode for quite a long time now, and now I've got a bit of momentum. I've started selling other farmers' produce as well.
Right.
Now, how did you... Sorry, I was going to say, how did you start? Are you digitally proficient?
No, not at all. I don't know. I'm not... Put it in perspective, I was scared getting the train to get here today. So I had to download a new app and organise that, and that scares the living daylights out of me. So to put myself in front of a camera is one thing, but I've been doing it for 5 years now, and you get a little bit better at it. And then you get more comfortable, and then you try and find something that people want, and then sell it to them.
But, I mean, you were, what, about 100 grand in debt?
I was over 200,000.
Oh, right. But
wow, that must have been scary.
But that's scary. But are you now? Are you back in the black?
I am today.
Right.
So today,
Brilliant.
It goes up and down a bit. And I'm still not out of the woods by a long way, but there's so much potential behind this, and And I'm trying to encourage other farmers to do it as well, because the prices are just ridiculous at the moment, what they're getting paid.
Is this the supermarket's fault?
Well, all produce, what they sell it for. They've got no control anymore on what they can sell it for. So the thing with social media, you can educate. You've got all year to do it, so you do a bit every day, and it only needs to take 10 seconds to a minute.
We're just showing a picture of you with your peonies there.
Wow,
they're beautiful.
Some peonies, yeah.
And peonies you can get excited about, so I can make peonies look good, but making like Christmas trees or apples look good is another matter.
Doesn't that mean you've got to make the video and upload it and everything, and it's got to be good, because, as you say, some of your videos have now gone viral. As an example of one of your more unusual videos.
I just do stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you just do anything to... So, but then haven't you got to put an awful lot of time and effort into packaging and sending?
Yes and no, but with my flowers, we pick all the flowers, which is hard work anyway, and we put it all into boxes and send to the supermarket. So it is different, but from the same perspective is, I still put it in a box, I put less in a box, I put a label on it, and a lorry picks it up. So there's systems which I'm getting used to. I usually break all my systems, and then we have to find new systems so they can handle the workload. But at the beginning, if you're not doing a lot, it's not that much more work.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll tell you what, David, all power to your elbow and all power to your petite peonies. Lovely stuff. Really good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Wow.
Brilliant, isn't it? I love it.
Absolutely lovely. That's real get up and gumption, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, we're going to talk through the papers in a couple of moments with Suzanne and Steve, who are there looking through the papers for us. First of all, though, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's where you're going to have to go to get it.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Strong winds are expected across eastern parts of the Mediterranean at the moment. Meanwhile, heavy rain will affect parts of Turkey into Cyprus as well. This system is gradually moving away, so it's going to dry up across Greece and the Greek islands early next week. A few showers eastern parts of Italy, otherwise plenty of fine weather, and Spain's looking reasonable. Sunny spells, average temperatures. Likewise for the Canaries, plenty of fine weather to come during the days ahead.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bowl. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Right, it's 8:51. Bit of a rattle through the papers with Suzanne and Steve this morning. Can we just kick off with this one? I know it's like supposedly a lighter story, but it's so utterly bonkers, Steve, in the Mail this morning. A woman was feeding pigeons.
Yes, a criminal woman feeding pigeons. She was cuffed, she was fined £100, 6 cops were there and 2 council enforcement officers. They put her in cuffs in case she might reach for the bread again. The thing that she did, she was accused of throwing bread on the floor. No one's, in the entire article, no one speaks of the hero pigeons who were cleaning up that bread. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It is ridiculous, but at the same time, give us a few more years and it'll seem like this is commonplace.
What are they going to do to that poor woman who sells them for 2p a bag?
You've ruined that film for us, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I cannot believe this is the Britain we're living in sometimes.
I can. Remember, a woman was fined for pouring coffee down the drain quite recently. There's all this petty bureaucracy now, the interference in every aspect of lives. I swear to goodness, the police, politicians, some of them wake up in the morning and think, what can we do to annoy people today and make their lives a complete mess? This is just dreadful. And as you say, handcuffs. They handcuffed this woman just for feeding the pigeons.
Was there something extraordinary about the situation?
No, I mean, this is why obviously she's really upset, as she would be if you imagine. It's not like you're doing something slightly criminal and get caught. She's just feeding some pigeons and gets cuffed for throwing bread on the floor.
And yet, in the same breath, the police are talking about how stretched they are, how they haven't got enough money, how they haven't got enough funding, haven't they got time. And they're doing stuff like this.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you've just got no sympathy.
But given a choice between, arresting one woman with some bread or policing a massive protest, which one would you rather?
Or actually going after some criminals, absolutely. No, shocking.
Absolutely mad. Absolutely mad. Suzanne, it's the Times magazine this morning, but we just find it fascinating. There's a picture of someone. Anne was saying this morning, who's this, do you think? Well, I have no idea. Monica Lewinsky?
Yeah, well, Anne, you showed me this morning, didn't you? And I didn't know who it was, I have to say. So, of course, Monica Lewinsky, the big Monica Lewinsky scandal, when it was revealed she'd had an affair for several years with Bill Clinton, 1998 that was, when she was just 24. And I think we forget how young she was.
Yeah, she was just a young intern in the White House.
Just a young intern. And there was this woman suddenly found herself at this international scandal. And she's now doing a podcast. And there's an article, she's been interviewed for the Times magazine today. She says, there's no handbook on what to do when you're in a global scandal and you're a young person who hasn't even really embarked on their career. So she's obviously suffered enormously after this. She contemplated suicide, as did her father. Her mother had a nervous breakdown because of all the flack that happened. And she struggled, she says, to find a job for years and years. She just couldn't get a job.
And she's a highly intelligent woman, isn't she?
Very, very bright. Well, she would have had to be to get the job in the first place. So she's done some various anti-bullying campaigns. She's doing this Reclaiming, it's called, her podcast. She's done a TED Talk called The Price of Shame, great title, which has had 14 million views. She's done some TV production. But yeah, it's an incredible story, really. And, of course, I suspect she's about to get back in the public eye because of the Epstein files, which, of course, feature Bill Clinton. So this has kind of kicked everything off again. But an incredible story, really.
So what age would she be now? About 50-something?
She's 50 now, 51, I think. Is that right? Yeah.
She looks fabulous.
But she looks amazing. Yeah, she does look amazing. Great thing, but yeah.
Good on her. I mean, I've read up on her before, and she's had a tough time.
She has.
And been bullied horribly, and the misogyny that's been heaped against her.
The judgment, I remember at the time, just how very young she was. I think a lot of people forgot that at the time. She was absolutely pilloried.
It's always the men in power that get away with it. it.
It is, but I think actually this story shows how much times have changed, because now if Donald Trump had an affair with a 24-year-old, I don't think it would even be like story one that day. It would be further in the papers. There'd be some other amazing headline-grabbing thing that happens. Whereas back then, it was international outrage, wasn't it?
Trump would be bragging about it, wouldn't he? Probably, I suspect. I mean,
Let me just hold up the...
Yeah, sure.
Just so, I mean, that is what she looks like now, and she looks absolutely amazing. I don't know if you can see that very
But just
clearly.
not that image that we recognise.
No, except that they've put her in a red dress, haven't they?
And not a black one.
No.
A blue one.
A blue one, you're right.
Was it blue,
wasn't it?
No, it was blue.
Dark
It was
blue.
blue. That's what I was saying. I can't put her in a blue dress.
No, she probably says no to that.
No. Just very quick. Have we got what time is it? Yeah, we've got a minute, Steve. This I just find fascinating. It's in the Telegraph. Drink driving, which is a scourge, has been for a long time. It's blooming stupid. But drug driving is actually a bigger issue now.
It is, although the numbers, the story doesn't show that actually it's very close. So the number of driving deaths where drugs were detected in the system, 189, where alcohol was in the system, 171. They're very close. I suppose you'd expect more alcohol because we drink more than we do drugs. But the government's being accused of not focusing on the bigger issue. Let's not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. You can clamp down on one and maybe later on clamp down on another.
Yeah. Tell you what frightens me is sometimes driving down the M1, coming into work at stupid o'clock in the morning, and sometimes you get these great whiffs of cannabis.
Oh, yeah.
Which must only be from
on the motorway?
Yeah, which must only be from other people on the motorway.
It's quite alarming. And again, going back to the police, I think this is something the police let people get away with now. There is no war on drugs. There hasn't been a war on drugs for a very long time.
Yes, but the moral of today is that you must not feed the pigeons.
No, don't feed the pigeons.
Take as many drugs as you like and get in your car, but don't feed the pigeons.
All right, you two. Thanks very much indeed. Much more coming up for you.
There's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make 2026 the year of yes. That's yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to making all of those dreams come true this year. Just make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
I think that many problems that Luton has, I think many parts of the country are suffering from those problems. But I think there are some good aspects to living in Luton as well.
But Raki, we have to address the elephant in the room in a sense, and that is Luton an example of a failed multicultural town? What I mean by that is we have 54.8% of the population is non-white, the largest being minority ethnic group Asian, and we do see, you live there, cultures living side by side, and there's a lack of integration. Is that a problem?
No, I think there's definitely integration challenges which need to be addressed in Luton. Now, when I was a lot younger, there were significant social tensions in Luton. We saw the Islamist Butchers of Basra demonstrations and then the subsequent creation of the English Defence League, the EDL. But I have to say, even though we have those integration challenges, if you look in other parts of the country, there have been significant forms of civil unrest which Luton has not experienced. If you remember the 2011 summer riots that took place across England, there weren't many incidents in Luton. And if you want to talk about ethnic and religious segregation, I think that Leicester has far bigger problems than Luton. So I think that while Luton has its issues surrounding integration and segregation, I think that some of those problems are even more intense in other parts of the country.
We can't finish this conversation without noting, of course, the entrance to the away end at Luton Town Stadium there. Of course, that is an entrance which goes through someone's house. It's so bad, it's good. In fact, away fans who go there say it's a good away day. It's something they will always remember.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. Police are giving in to Islamists. At least that's according to the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick. He's warning the fight against Islamism is the fight of our generation.
This comes as the government is also reportedly preparing a new official definition of Islamophobia, which free speech campaigners have said will actually prevent legitimate criticism of the religion.
Donald Trump has said the United States is going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. He warned that he feels obliged to act, or Russia and China will take over.
GB News is live in Hungary this morning, witnessing the security measures in place to prevent illegal migration. So are there things that we could learn from that?
Now, if you ever fancied a challenge, you've got a lot to do to take on this man. He's set the bar very high. He's become the first double above-knee amputee to climb the highest peaks on all 7 continents. He's a former Gurkha. We're going to speak to him shortly.
And today marks 10 years since the iconic British singer-songwriter David Bowie died. Earlier, we spoke to one of his lifelong friends.
Every birthday, he sent me a hamper from Fortnum and Mason's.
Oh.
How nice is that? What a nice chap.
We start the weekend with yet more cold weather, snow and ice still in places. A big change is on the way tonight and into tomorrow. Rain arrives from the Atlantic, but for some, that simply means more snow. Much more coming up in the forecast very soon.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I love the fact we are having a bit of a Bowie morning, just because it's... I am a real believer, whether it's straight after someone's died or on a 10-year anniversary like this, that rather than just being sad, you celebrate who they are, what they've done, how much they've been loved, or whatever it is. If you can celebrate someone, what a great way to be. I quite like these jolly funerals and all that sort of thing.
Oh, I've never been to... I've been sent to a few jolly funerals in my life as a reporter. You know, but there's no such thing, I have to tell you.
Oh, no.
When it gets to the funeral, I think most people are really sad.
There's always sadness, but it's just if that sadness can be overwritten or underwritten by a sense of thanks that this person existed in the first place.
Yes, and I do think that 10 years on, you can certainly do that, particularly where Bowie is concerned.
Yeah, it's great.
I still feel it with Freddie Mercury as well. And, you know, and actually, they're both artists that I never really got to know very well or admired particularly during their lifetime, but I've discovered them since.
Yeah,
and that's quite something, isn't it?
Interesting. Freddie, we're a big Queen fan in our family. And it's been actually one of the privileges of this job is that I got to know Brian May quite well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I say quite well. Used to chit-chat whenever I saw him, and he'd probably wonder who I was if I bumped into him in the street.
Oh, no, he'd be...
But, you know, what a lovely, lovely man. And to meet these people who are your heroes and influences is phenomenal when they're nice.
Have you ever met a hero that is such a hero you're a bit dumbfounded when you meet them? You just can't think of anything to say?
No, but only because it's been normally for work, so you've got to speak.
Yeah.
Haven't you? You can't really not say anything. But I've met a few people who, and they're not very nice in real life. And it's that whole thing about never meet your heroes.
Well, that's
like
right.
That,
it is a bit sad, that.
That is always very disappointing when they're not who you thought they were.
First time I ever had to interview Elton John, I couldn't think of anything to ask him or say. I just wanted to go. Luckily, Nick Owen did all the work and asked him all the questions because he wasn't as dumbfounded as I was. I just stared and really enjoyed it.
It's great, isn't it?
It's on YouTube, and you look back at it, and I was just sort of amazing.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's lovely. We are very privileged in this job to meet a lot of, you know, big names.
So do keep your stories coming in. Have you ever bumped into somebody really, you know, who was a hero? And how were they to you? Or did you not have the courage to actually go up and... You should have the courage to go up and say, you know, I'm an admirer, can I just say hello? Because usually they're pleased.
Yeah, it's nice, nice. Anyway, look, enough of that. Onto the serious stuff, because, and it's an interesting line, it's been quite bold, really. The Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, says Britain faces the fight of our generation against extremists.
Yes, he's warning that police are giving in. He actually used those words. They're giving in to Islamists because it's just too challenging to confront them.
Well, let's talk to political commentator Piers Pottinger. It's a very interesting comment, Piers, because it's what a lot of people have been thinking for some time. But actually putting your head above the parapet to say it in political terms is a bit of a gamble.
Yeah, it's quite brave. But he's only saying what an awful lot of people feel. And indeed, even in government, people are thinking it. It's just they are slow to react. A good example is the Muslim Brotherhood, which is an international organisation. Now, that is prescribed in Egypt. It's prescribed in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. But it is free to operate here. And the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood is where the Hamas came from. And yet this operates freely in this country. Now, they are Islamist extremists of the worst kind. And in my view, and in Robert Jenrick's view, I know, they should be banned. They should be prescribed. But if you look at the problems the government had prescribing the Palestine Action Group, which still there are some very deluded people who think that's a positive organisation when it isn't. It's a violent terrorist organisation and quite rightly prescribed. But Jenrick has said some very bold things in his piece. And of course, politically, it sounds as though he's speaking on behalf of reform, rather. It's such a reform angle, and there is a lot of talk about him joining reform, which could well happen.
Well, but the easy riposte to that is, well, didn't you see this coming when you yourself were in government?
Absolutely.
Immigration minister.
Yeah, well, he was the immigration minister, and again didn't cover himself in particular glory. None of those Conservative ministers did. And there is a little bit of a danger that the Reform Party ends up being a home for failed Conservative ministers. And I think Nigel Farage has to be very careful he doesn't take too many of them on. But Robert Jenrick's actually risen in popularity and done a very good job in opposition. And now it's shown in the polls, the Conservatives are now, in many polls, ahead of Labour for the first time in over a year. And Kemi Badenoch seems to be doing better, but that means that Jenrick's ambitions to be leader, and we all know he's, like most politicians, personally very ambitious, means that he may find he'd do better in reform than he would in the Conservatives. Personally, I think he'll stay with the Conservative Party now that it's doing better.
In a way, it's a difficult situation if the Tories are doing better, because there must be a lot of people, and I don't know how either party deals with this, but there must be a lot of people in the country who feel more to the right politically, who are going to go, well, the Conservatives were rubbish, I'm going to vote Reform.
Yeah.
Well, if Conservatives have a bit of a resurgence...
Exactly.
What do you do?
Well, I think this is why Nigel Farage is building a team of more substance, and he's trying to do it as quickly as possible. Danny Kruger was perhaps the most substantive defection, a person that politically very widely admired and a man of stature intellectually. And that's the kind of... At the moment, Nigel Farage couldn't really put together a shadow cabinet. And that's his problem. The Conservatives have got a shadow cabinet, some of whom I don't think many people could name, but nevertheless it's there. And when it comes to the crunch in a general election, it's... people think long and hard how they're going to vote. At least I hope they do.
But Farage has got a long time still to build that shadow cabinet,
yes,
hasn't he?
he has. And again, we mustn't lose sight of the fact the elections are a long way off. Although we've got local elections coming up, those that the government have allowed. The shocking thing is they've stopped at least 22 local elections taking place.
Yeah, you say you're shocked by that. Can you even believe that it's allowed to happen?
Well, it's anti-democratic. democratic, and it proves again that this government is a socialist government, which is anti-democratic.
Well, except the only thing I'd throw into that is that, I mean, look, I don't think, on a personal level, I don't think stopping elections is a good idea at all. But they've allowed it to happen. They've allowed these councils to apply to have them stop
deliberately.
At the minute, there's 2 in Oxfordshire, I think, which are Lib Dem councils, which have said we're going to go ahead with it. Going to go ahead with the elections. There's 2 Conservative. There's East Sussex and West Sussex, I think, which are Tory-led, which have said we want to delay them.
Yes.
So you can't.
No, I agree. I think it's very bad that the Conservatives have said that because they should go ahead, win or lose.
But they're scared of losing.
Of course they're scared of losing. And this is the sort of thing dictators in odd countries do, is cancel elections if they think they're going to lose them. You can't do that in a democracy. And it is absolutely shocking they've got away with it.
Well, there's talk, isn't there, this morning of Nigel Farage and Reform trying to take this to a judicial review.
Yes.
Now, whether that would be successful or not, I don't know, but it's interesting that they are continuing the fight on.
Well, I think they should, and they particularly have got areas like Norfolk and Suffolk where they would clearly it looks as though they would sweep the board, and you've got the mayoral elections there that they're all the polls show them way ahead in winning, and they've, you know, to cancel them just because you think you're going to lose is really unforgivable.
Of course, that's not the argument they use. We should clarify that. Of course. They use the argument that they're replanning it all, and it's going to take them 5 times as long as they originally expected.
But, you know, everywhere...
Which no one's buying.
No, everywhere you look, you're finding the government saying things that are just wrong.
And there is a real hate campaign at the moment against Nigel Farage. The things that are being said, the stories that are being, you know, propounded.
Well, it's when they can't attack him on policies, they go for smears. And unfortunately, if you're that far ahead in the polls, this is something he's just got to put up with, I'm afraid, unpleasant though it is. And gosh, it's going to get more unpleasant, I'm sure. And I mean, if they go and dredge up stuff he said 50, or claimed he said 50 years ago in a school playground, for goodness sake, that is simply desperation and is gutter politics of the worst kind. And I don't think the British people buy it, quite frankly.
But every time the Prime Minister stands up in PMQs and starts a speech, he usually says the words Nigel Farage in his first sentence.
Yep,
He's always got something to say.
It shows you how effective Nigel Farage is. He's the most effective political communicator in the country, bar none. We know that. And that's what rattles the worst political communicator, Keir Starmer, who is the worst. A man who is failing in everything he's doing. Another lie is exposed today over the Chagos Islands, where when he announced the deal with the Chagos Islands, he claimed that the figures had been approved by the Office of Budget Responsibility, the OBR. Well, the OBR have denied approving anything. They weren't consulted at all about the Chagos. So he used them to support his case financially, which is, of course, outrageous. Here we are, while Donald Trump is going to take over Greenland strategically, this is important for defence, what we're doing is paying a Chinese ally £30 billion to get rid of one of our strategic defence posts. It's absurd.
OK. Piers, thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you this morning. Just some breaking news reaching us at 13 minutes past 9. It's about Storm Geretti. It's been pretty awful, as we know, for a lot, not all, but a lot of the country. Devon and Cornwall police this morning saying a man has been found dead after a tree fell onto a caravan. Now, we know the winds have been very, very high in some places. The weather warnings are still in place around much of the UK. We will keep you fully up to date throughout the course of the day here on GB News, but that word of one fatality they think caused by a falling tree hitting a caravan.
14 minutes past 9. Now, the Hungarian Prime Minister's political director has told GB News that Britain's small boat's mistake is a warning to Europe on mass migration and that it is not something we want here.
Well, Hungary's approach, led by the Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, is aimed to stop the large influx by redirecting them to legal entry points to claim asylum.
Well, our national reporter, Charlie Peters, is visiting the Hungarian border, and he did so yesterday with the Hungarian border in Serbia. He joins us now from Budapest. Good morning, Charlie. A lot of people want to know, basically, what are you doing there and what are you discovering?
Well, good morning to you both. Yes, I'm here at the invitation of the Hungarian embassy to get a sense of the immigration strategies and the policies adopted by the government here in regards to mass immigration. Of course, a tremendous issue in Europe and, of course, the United Kingdom. But Hungary does take a different approach here, basically on a fact-finding mission to report on the strategies. And yesterday we were down at the border with Serbia to see some of the policies they've implemented. So 155-kilometre long stretch with fencing about 4.5 metres high, first developed in 2015. What we're showing you now is CCTV shown to us yesterday at a command centre of attempted crossings made in recent years, including one just 2 nights ago where 20 men attempted to break into the country. We were told by the patrol guards down there, a colonel speaking to GB News, saying that many of those attempting to cross in were from Afghanistan and Syria and Turkey, and they were being facilitated by organised smuggling gangs from Romania, Moldova and Ukraine. They said that the capabilities being launched to try and make those crossings, first they were ladders, then they shifted to trying to cut through that fence, and more recently they had found tunnels, around 30 tunnels, attempting to get into the border in 2022. Now, they brought in these measures in 2015 due to an influx of migrants, that huge wave sparked by the Syrian civil war, and the measures have led to the elite in Brussels, as they term them here, the Brusselian elite, applying a €1 million daily fine to Budapest because it does not follow with the wider EU migration pact. We heard from border guards yesterday that anyone who makes it into the border and crosses into Hungary, they have the power to use force and to return them into the country that they've just entered from, to push them back into Serbia, and they cooperate with the Serbian authorities to achieve this. And the footage we saw yesterday, quite extraordinary, some of it shown for the first time, men with Kalashnikovs and pistols leading those people trying to smuggle themselves into Hungary. They showed us their statistics saying that well over 100,000 attempted illegal crossings had taken place in 2016, but that had dropped to about 12,000 by 2022. And last year in Great Britain and the United Kingdom, we had 115,000 asylum applications. For Hungary, it was just 25. Now, when I'm talking about Hungary, I'm talking about those attempted crossings. We spoke also with the National Security Advisor yesterday morning, who told us that there were no illegal migrants in Hungary. And when he put the question back to us and said, oh, you must be aware of the same situation in Britain, you must know how many illegal migrants there are, we replied saying, well, actually, we don't know, because we have had such a problem with illegal crossings for many years, in particular that surge caused by the small boats crisis. We heard from Balázs Orbán, the political director of the Hungarian government, very senior official, very rarely drawn into commenting on foreign affairs. They very much focus on the Hungarian issue, of course, being part of the Hungarian government. But he was drawn into telling me that he thought that the small boats crisis was a mistake and a warning to the rest of Europe, and that he felt sad when he had most recently visited the United Kingdom, comparing to when he first visited London over 20 years ago. Now, obviously, the Hungarian government has come under a lot of criticism for wider policies they've adopted on domestic affairs. They're struggling with inflation, their healthcare is in crisis. There's an election coming up this year where they're very much hoping that foreign policy and immigration might secure them more support. When we put all these concerns and those comments from Balázs Orbán to the Home Office. A spokesperson did tell us that they are furious at the level of illegal migrants, but we are restoring order and control to our borders. Almost 50,000 illegal migrants have been removed or deported from British soil under this government, up nearly a quarter. They also added that the Home Secretary has announced the most sweeping reforms to tackle illegal migration in decades, removing the incentives that bring illegal migrants to the UK and scaling up the return of those who have no right to be here. In discussions with Hungarian officials in Budapest, we've heard them discussing how, sometimes on the record, sometimes in more cautious conversations, they think that Britain and other European countries need to adopt a more of a deterrent-focused approach, not trying to adopt or change the policies of the smuggling gangs, but rather prevent them from trying to break into the countries in the first place. We also heard from the Hungarian government, speaking exclusively to GB News, saying that they had struggled to cooperate with Britain on trying to change migration law, such as the Geneva Convention, the Refugee Convention and the ECHR. But of course, there have been proposals coming from the Labour government, and they say that they are furious at the level of illegal migration and are working hard to deal with it.
Yeah, I just wonder what they think we should do now. You mentioned the fact that we should increase the deterrence value, but what should we do now, did they think, with the sheer number of boats coming across the channel?
Well, here's the thing. We have a maritime border. I put this to them saying it's not actually as easy as putting up a fence, of course. We have a natural moat, but in a way it's actually more of a curse, because under maritime law, as soon as someone's in the water, you have to, quote, rescue them and then bring them over. They thought changes to deportation law would make it much easier. They also spoke to us about the need to be able to return people, detain them and deport them immediately, which is what they do in Serbia, rather than allowing a lengthy, drawn-out human rights process. And we also heard from the Hungarian government saying, why aren't people in Britain considering the human rights of people who live there, the population who have a right to their heritage and culture? There's a lot of concern about the human rights of immigrants, but Hungarian government saying, what about the human rights of those citizens of the United Kingdom?
It's interesting, isn't it? All right, Charlie, for now, thank you very much indeed. More from Charlie, I think, throughout the course of the day here on GB News.
It's fascinating, we talk about our various problems within our own country, but then it's fascinating hearing what other countries are thinking objectively of us and the way we are or are not dealing with the same sort of problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're not the same sort of country as Hungary, but nevertheless, looking abroad and seeing where other countries do seem to be doing something a bit more effective than us, aren't there lessons to be learned?
Well, you'd think so. You'd think so. Anyway, more throughout the course of the day. In the meantime, let's see what things are going to be like for you if you're heading out and about today. Here's the weather with Aidan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's certainly another cold start to the weekend. More snow and ice to watch out for, certainly some slippery surfaces about, but a lot of dry and bright weather before further rain and snow arrive tonight. Across much of the UK, however, despite the cold, it's a fine start. Plenty of sunny spells through central areas, some cloud in the east, likewise cloud in the west, giving a few rain and sleet showers around coastal parts. But for the vast majority, it's a dry Saturday, albeit a cold Saturday, 2 to 6 Celsius. Make the most of today's weather because it's all downhill after this. Low pressure starts to move in from the Atlantic as we end the day, but ahead of that, some clear spells allowing temperatures to fall away. Low single figures or a few degrees below freezing quite quickly as we go into the evening, those temperatures dropping because of the snow cover across northern parts of the UK and still some central areas. We're going to see that snow and the slush and the slippery surfaces once again leading to an ice risk. But we are watching this system as it moves in tonight. So it's bringing a spell of rain in from the Atlantic. The winds pick up, but as that Atlantic weather bumps into the cold air already in place across the UK, we are once again going to see a spell of snow. Initially across parts of central and western Scotland inland, but elsewhere it's mostly rain. We start off with the chilly weather across eastern parts of the UK, milder Northern Ireland, Western England and Wales, in between this area of snow affecting much of Scotland, Northern England. I think for higher parts of Northern England, disruptive snow likely, lower levels, more patchy snow. But across Scotland, that's where the deeper snow is going to occur. 10 to 20 centimetres at lower levels, 30 over hills, before it all turns back to rain by the end of the day.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's 9:24 already. Still to come, find out why the UAE is restricting their students from enrolling at British universities. We've been discussing it throughout the morning. In a few moments, we'll have somebody who'll be able to tell us exactly what they're thinking inside the UAE. That's next.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
It's 9:28 now. The United Arab Emirates, of all places, is restricting students from enrolling at British universities because, wait for it, there are fears that our campuses are radicalised by Islamist groups.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really, isn't it? The Emirati government is reportedly limiting federal funding for students who want to study in the UK. And it's because they are so concerned about the influence of organisations like Muslim Brotherhood, which is a proscribed terrorist organisation by the UAE, but not here.
Not here, no. Let's talk to commentator Sunil Sharma, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning. Is this... I mean, first and foremost, do they have a point?
Yeah, for sure. I think
Look, it makes no sense that Britain isn't taking advice from Middle Eastern countries that are of the faith of Islam, and they're making their own decisions based on a lot of these groups. It makes absolutely no sense that the UK are adopting strategies that are not in line with countries who have far more knowledge and experience on these matters. And I think it's a bit of a UK problem, and I think Europe problem, and you could include US in part of that, but specifically for Britain, I think we've had such a be kind, be tolerant crowd for a very long time, and I think some of that is really good. But now I think it's gone too far, where to the point we've abandoned the rule of law. We're excusing criminal behaviour. We're allowing extremist ideologies to take root, and I think it's you compare it to the United Arab Emirates, you compare it to other countries across the globe. It's only Europe and the US that are countries that are refusing to enforce its borders, laws, and I think that's exactly why crime and extremism is rising.
And this is generally talked about, is it? This is the sort of gossip that parents are talking about when they're making the decision, and clearly the government is talking about when they're when they're considering funding.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're, regardless, not just specifically UAE, I think when you go across the world, I've been fortunate to travel quite a lot in the last couple of years, and one of the first things people say to me is they cannot believe what is happening to specifically London, but just UK in general. So it's not just, this isn't just a UK problem where Brits are angry with what's going on in their country. This is a global phenomenon where London is no longer seen as the root of the financial capital. London is no longer this amazing place that so many people want to come to. And I think a lot of that I think we're a bit away from the world in the sense of we think Europe is the world. Europe makes up 10% of the world's population. The vast majority of the world still adopts very simplistic ideas. You put your country first. You have a clear enforced border. You have a rule set of law. You abide by the country's standards. You abide by the country's principles. I think with Britain, we've just really been led by this be kind, be tolerant crowd, and that we haven't understood that strength should come first, and then you can be those things afterwards. But it is widely talked about here. It's widely talked across, to be honest, across the world in terms of the UK declining standards, specifically on this matter as well.
I mean, it's interesting because this news comes on the day that the shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, has been saying, we need to take a stand against extremism and against Islamism. The government's looking at Islamophobia definitions and all the rest of it. Do you welcome that? Because amid that, you've got to be able to draw, which the UAE seems to be doing, a very distinct line between Islamism and Islam, which we seem incapable of doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Robert Jenrick or the current Home Secretary or the future one, the first thing to just do is to speak to these countries and see how they've been able to. There's a great video from 8 years ago where the UAE Foreign Minister predicts this. He speaks in English. He was speaking in Arabic, then he changes to English, and he says, give it a few more years, Europe will be the place where Islamic extremism will exist. There'll be more there than there will be here. Just because you have no idea what you're doing, you don't understand the profile of people that are coming in. We do. We have the experience. We have the knowledge. And he pretty much predicted this 8 years ago. And I think we've just been a bit ignorant in the sense of listening to the wrong profile of people in the UK. Like I said, the tolerance crowd, in the sense of just thinking we should be looking at our national security. We should be looking at our borders. In this specific matter, it makes sense to be talking to Middle Eastern countries who have experienced these issues throughout their lifetime. Why not speak to them and say, how have you been able to do this? You know what, the first thing to do is copy their list, because they will have a lot more intel, a lot more information than we do. But I just think there's that the way that we've done in terms of Britain, in terms of the tolerance, and just I think it's been blinded with into weakness, and I think the kindness is now chaos. There's just no sense of boundaries. There's no sense of social order is a non-negotiable, that there should be social order. I just think we've really lost sight of that. And I think a great place to start specifically on this issue is the UAE, Saudi Arabia, these other countries who are doing this on a much bigger scale.
Yes, and we need foreign students. Just before we lose you then, can I just ask, where would your average UAE parent and where would the government agree to fund a sort of English-speaking education for their children if they wanted to come abroad?
I'm not specifically sure, but I'm guessing right now it definitely wouldn't be the UK. I'm guessing America will probably be more attractive right now in terms of what they're doing with their economy and the ties that they're building with this region. So I just don't. I think when you're looking at the UAE and just the whole of Middle East in general, they've had such a long battle with extremism and how they've had to root that out. And I think for them, naturally, like anyone, you don't want to have any cause of bringing that back when you're attracting the talent they're attracting, the things that they're doing. I think it's completely different in the UK, but at the same time, some of these are basic lessons that they can learn from other countries. But like I said, I think we're a bit blinded when it comes to the West in general. Europe makes up 10%. Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand combined is about 17%. The vast majority, or take those countries out, the vast majority of the world has enforced borders, has rules and laws, abiding by their countries. You speak their language. I think we're really lost in terms of what the rest of the world thinks of the United Kingdom, not just the West, because I think the West right now has some serious ideological problems.
All right, Sunil Sharma, really good to get your perspective. Thank you very much indeed. Well, the Home Office has said all forms of extremism have absolutely no place in our society and we will stamp them out wherever they are found. We offer one of the best education systems in the world and maintain stringent measures on student welfare and on campus safety.
And that very statement seems to imply that they're not listening to what we've just heard. OK, still to come, we're going to be meeting the amazing man who's become the first double above-knee amputee to climb the highest peaks on all 7 continents. That's coming next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, here at Holbrook Animal Rescue, they're being forced to relocate, and if they can't find a suitable alternative, they'll even be at risk of closing. And I've seen the amazing work that they've done here. Just earlier, we met a dog called Essie, who has just found her almost possible forever home literally in the time that we were here. She only came here a couple of days ago, so it's really great work that they do for all animals. Like this one here, this is Torn, he's just a puppy, and I'm also joined by Laura Santini, who runs the shelter. Tell us a bit about Torn here.
So this is just a little fellow that came in, no fault of his own. The people just couldn't cope with him. So he's lively and he's a half shepherd, half Labrador.
What kind of impact would the possible relocation or even closure have on dogs like this one and all the other animals you have here?
Well, simply that we wouldn't be able to take them. So if the next one comes up like this and we've got nowhere to go, then we just can't take them, obviously. So what happens to them at that point, I don't know, because we don't just take beautiful pups like this. We take the old and the sick and the dogs that other people don't necessarily want to take. So I can't imagine what would happen to some of them. So I don't know. It's sad. It's just a sad situation.
And you've had quite a lot of support from the community here in trying to relocate. What's been there for you in terms of support?
They're absolutely incredible. They've sent 1,000 letters into the council to try and support us and help us and let everyone see the light that, you know, you do actually need animal sanctuaries around. You can't shut them all down. We're always getting phone calls saying how much people like what we do and hope we get our plan in appeal when it goes through and things like that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, 9:38. Next, we have a returning guest who is with us after completing a world record.
Yes, Harry Budha Magar has this week summited the highest mountain on Antarctica to become the first double above-knee amputee to summit the highest peaks on all 7 continents.
Now, he was with us before Christmas as he got ready for the challenge, and he's here with us now after he's done it. And
wow.
Oh, my goodness. Is that a still, or are you there?
Oh,
you're there, you're moving. Oh.
Yeah, what a shot. Well, first and foremost, congratulations. How does it feel?
Thank you very much. I'm feeling really relieved and pleased that we made it all 7 continents.
My goodness. That is just the most amazing thing, seeing you there. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. I was just thinking, just over 2.5 years later, I didn't know whether Everest was possible or not, and now it's done. And it feels a bit unbelievable whether it's done or not, but actually it's done. So I'm very relieved.
It seems remarkable that you're there proving to everyone that even what happens to you, I know you had an incident with an IED when you were a Gurkha, but to lose 2 legs above the knee is horrific. You've not let it stop you, which is a lesson to us all.
Absolutely, and this is one of the reasons that I'm doing. And we don't have a control of our sometimes whatever happens, but after it happens, then it's us to how we, choose to live the rest of our lives. And I chose to climbing the mountains and making over the stability and inspiring others to climb their own mountain.
Now, this is obviously something we're watching at the moment, video of you ascending with a number of people obviously helping you. That's not to minimise the effort that you've put in, but who's with you at the moment, and how much support do you need, and what sort of people are they?
So in Antarctica, I have got 3 other guys, so including we are 4. So I have my expedition leader. He's a Dangbu Sherpa. He lives in Seattle in America, and he came down to help me out. And also I have 2 assistants who helped me on Everest, Aviral Rai and Mingma Sherpa. So they are here to help me out. It's very expensive to bring them on, but without them, I can't do it. And you don't want to go to the mountain that someone you don't cross. It's like going to the battlefield.
Yeah. What an interesting way of putting it. It's really great to talk to you. It's really great to see you succeeding in all of this. Harry Budha Magar, congratulations, and thank you very much indeed for joining us from the bottom of the world.
Yes,
basically.
It is. Yes.
Beautiful. What
an amazing
Thank you very much, and thank you so much to all your viewers who has been amazing to support my experience. So thank you so much.
They're a good bunch.
Yeah, congratulations.
Bunch. Safe journey back.
Isn't that incredible that you can do that?
Incredible.
You talk to people all over the world at the moment.
Oh, dear.
No excuse to be out of touch, no matter what you're doing.
No, there isn't. Right, still to come, we're hearing from David Bowie's lifelong friend 10 years after we lost that British icon.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Strong winds are expected across eastern parts of the Mediterranean at the moment. Meanwhile, heavy rain will affect parts of Turkey into Cyprus as well. This system is gradually moving away, so it's going to dry up across Greece and the Greek islands early next week. A few showers eastern parts of Italy, otherwise plenty of fine weather, and Spain's looking reasonable. Sunny spells, average temperatures. Likewise for the Canaries, plenty of fine weather to come during the days ahead.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
(9:46). Today marks 10 years since the death of the British legend David Bowie.
Yeah, real legend and an icon in so many ways, with so much to be remembered by.
GB News' Sophia Hill has this report.
That was, of course, Starman, the song that announced David Bowie as a pop star from another world. Today marks 10 years since Bowie died of liver cancer, just 2 days after releasing his final album, Black Star. Born David Robert Jones in Brixton in 1947, Bowie reinvented music and identity through characters like Ziggy Stardust and Aladdin Sane. And this year, fans will be able to step inside his childhood home in South London, which is opening to the public for the very first time. Sophia Hill, GB News.
Well, earlier we had a real treat and we spoke to a lifelong friend, a childhood friend of David Bowie, George Underwood.
We knew each other for 60 years, basically. We met when we were both 9 years old. There's only a month between us in our ages. And we were both enrolling for the Cubs at the time. And our first interest was, well, everything that we listened to on the radio and TV, which was at the time Radio Luxembourg. And then there was some programs like a 6-5 Special, which had all the latest rock and roll people. But I mean, in those days, rock and roll was just rearing its head, you know, and we knew something was happening, and that's what we talked about, and a lot of things anything to do with America, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, who did he particularly admire?
Well, Little Richard was he was a big fan of, and I was a big fan of Buddy Holly, and in 1958, I managed to see Buddy Holly. I was only 11. Wow. I didn't go with David, but I went with one of we were both in the St Mary's Church choir, and one of the chaps from there said to me, "You're a big Buddy Holly fan." I said, "Yes." "Well, I'm going to get some tickets. Do you want to come?" And so he chaperoned me. He was about 15. 11 years old, my first, people say, "Well, what was your first gig?" I said, "Buddy Holly and the Crickets." That's quite prestigious, I think.
It's quite something. Look, when we talk about David, it's not just the music; it's the style and the quirkiness in a sense. But part of that was his natural look, of course. I mean, he was his bone structure and all the rest of it, but also his eyes, of course, with one eye, as you can see there, permanently dilated, which is your fault, George.
Yeah. I wonder how that happened. Yeah.
What was the story behind that?
Well, I'll cut it's a long story short. We both were interested in the same girl. And at 15, you sort of take that thing quite seriously. And I managed to get a date with her. And he I think he was a bit annoyed that I got there first, if you like. But anyway, he phoned me on the day that I was meant to meet her and said that she can't meet you. She's phoned me and she wants to go out with me, blah, 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 which was all a load of rubbish because I went down there a little bit later on and her mate said, Carol's been waiting for you for over an hour. So he made me look that I'd stood her up, you see, and I was rather angry about that. So I did sprinkle a bit of stardust on him later.
Yeah. Yeah, you did really with all of that. What was it? I mean, you managed to get over that, thankfully, and stayed friends.
Yeah.
But how did he change, or did he change at all with you over the years?
He was always changing, always. I remember one funny time when he came to school. We were only, I think we were in the second year at school at Bromley Tech, and his hair was so short, it was like a real cropped crew cut, And I know he was into Jerry Mulligan at that time, which was a jazz saxophonist. And you've got to remember, every week he was into something else. So he said, I've got a Jerry Mulligan haircut. He'd already had a JFK haircut a few weeks before, But he took me to one side later and said, "Actually, George, I'll tell you what happened." He said, "I tried cutting my hair last night on my own. I made a complete mess of it. Fortunately, there was a hairdresser girl who lived a few doors away, and she came over and tied it out for me." So it was a mistake that went wrong.
Ah, lovely just to hear those little stories, those little nuggets about a man we admire. Great, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's quite... well, I was going to say it's a sad anniversary, but, not when you celebrate somebody's life, as I hope we have been doing all morning.
Yes.
We're nearly done, but it's Saturday Morning Live coming up with Olivia Wheatley and Cameron Walker, who are here.
Morning,
it's ages since I've seen you.
Good morning. Well, it has been. I can't remember. It was probably November the last time I saw you, Anne.
Yeah,
a long time ago. But we have lots coming up on today's show. Of course, we're seeing these amazing pictures in Iran of all these nationwide protests. But what does it mean for people here in Britain? Does this instability mean in the Middle East that we're going to see a rise in our petrol, rise in prices of our petrol? And also, of course, if it does lead to a big civil war, does that mean another massive influx of refugees from the Middle East coming across on small boats to the United Kingdom?
We've also got this really alarming story from our own team here at GB News about what's going to happen to churches. There's a stealth tax which Rachel Reeves imposed at the budget. Haven't really heard anything about it at all. But basically, churches aren't going to be able to get refund on VAT for any repairs that they make. Now, that doesn't sound that serious, but what will actually end up happening is churches are going to be closing their doors at exactly the time when more and more people want to be going to church, just as we're seeing a big rise in Christianity in this this country? Is this going to be another U-turn for the Treasury somewhere down the line? And of course, already hairdressing salons, small shops are saying, well, if pubs are getting some relief, then why shouldn't we? Could be churches soon as well.
And churches are old buildings. They need lots and lots of repairs.
It's always about their roofs, you always hear, isn't it?
It's always yes.
But it's almost as though everything that is quintessentially British is sort of under pressure.
I know. And another thing that's quintessentially British is lots of classic British novels, and the chapter lengths of new novels are much shorter due to the TikTok generation's attention span. So we're going to be discussing that.
It's your fault, Cameron.
It's not my fault.
I rather like a short chapter. I can't concentrate on all of that and
as long
much
as it
more.
still tells a good
After
story.
your weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's certainly another cold start to the weekend. More snow and ice to watch out for, certainly some slippery surfaces about, but a lot of dry and bright weather before further rain and snow arrive tonight. Across much of the UK, however, despite the cold, it's a fine start. Plenty of sunny spells through central areas, some cloud in the east, likewise cloud in the west, giving a few rain and sleet showers around coastal parts. But for the vast majority, it's a dry Saturday, albeit a cold Saturday, 2 to 6 Celsius. Make the most of today's weather because it's all downhill after this. Low pressure starts to move in from the Atlantic as we end the day, but ahead of that, some clear spells allowing temperatures to fall away. Low single figures or a few degrees below freezing quite quickly as we go into the evening, those temperatures dropping because of the snow cover across northern parts of the UK and still some central areas. We're going to see that snow and the slush and the slippery surfaces once again leading to an ice risk. But we are watching this system as it moves in tonight. So it's bringing a spell of rain in from the Atlantic. The winds pick up, but as that Atlantic weather bumps into the cold air already in place across the UK, we are once again going to see a spell of snow. Initially across parts of central and western Scotland inland, but elsewhere it's mostly rain. We start off with the chilly weather across eastern parts of the UK, milder Northern Ireland, Western England and Wales, in between this area of snow, affecting much of Scotland, Northern England. I think for higher parts of Northern England, disruptive snow likely, lower levels, more patchy snow. But across Scotland, that's where the deeper snow is going to occur, 10 to 20 centimetres at lower levels, 30 over hills, before it all turns back to rain by the end of the day.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to make 20